Gather round, freaks. Welcome back to the stage of history as Jason's birthday is passed, and we begin Steve's birthday munch.
Munch. Oh my God. What's going to happen on my birthday?
We're going to eat him. He's a man who would risk his neck for his brother, man. Can you dig it? So gather around the internet campfire and gather around the internet radio because it's time once again for Hey, did you see this one?
Once upon a time, movie magic was dwindling, and things were changing. And this month, Stephen Waters and Hey, did you see this one? Would like to take you back there. Take you on a trip down memory lane to revisit some of their favorite movies from the late 1900s. From cult classics to box office hits, they'll explore the mysticism of this iconic era of film history. Tune in to relive the magic of the previous century in the nostalgic 90s.
Just got hot. Shut the up and call me when she shows. Why the hell you want to be a cop in? Oh, forget her ass. Got milk?
Yeah, I got some milk. Shit, you want some milk? I got a whole bunch of milk.
That's right. It's me, the birthday champ. Wait, Steve.
I'm here to challenge you for the belt, brother. I need that belt back.
Here you go.
Well, I'm twins with Steven.
Is it your birthday
So-
today or tomorrow? I can't remember. Is it the 9th?
Yesterday.
Okay. Sorry, there's so many May birthdays in this world.
Well, it's the same year as
Oh,
Steven.
yeah, true. We're very close in
Yeah.
actual birth.
Yeah.
So
Well,
the
that's
belt
right.
is yours. The belt is yours because my birthday is not for a couple days. Today it's Noel's belt. Welcome back, Noel. I heard that you're a bad mother. Oh, shit.
Awesome. Off to a great start.
I
That's right.
spent I spent the whole day thinking I watched the wrong movie.
Mm-mm.
I
It's Shaft 2000, right?
Yeah, I actually read the book Shaft and the Jews or whatever. There's a really bad title.
That's
of
the
one of them.
second book. Yeah.
Yeah. Shaft Amongst the Jews, I think it's called. Anyway, this is episode 182 of Hey, Did You See This One? We're leaving my birthday month behind, and as the next person up is always Steve. Steve is it's now May, Steve's birthday month, and we're doing I wrote 90s comfort films all over my notes, but it's the nostalgic 90s as well. So whatever you want. If you're playing at home, it is season 3, episode 33, which is a huge milestone for no reason whatsoever. Thank you. Oh, great. I just realized
what's going to happen for the rest of the month.
no more fart sounds or Chucky laughs. Just shut your mouth, which hurts a lot more, but that's cool. Please welcome back to the show. Get this. Can you guess how many times our guest this week has been on this fucking show? It's incredible. Returning to the show for the 12th time.
Oh my goodness.
Please welcome Noel K back to the show.
Welcome back.
Incredible.
It's good to be here. My mic is kind of off to the side. Let me know if you can hear me good.
You're good.
Sounds great. You're
You're
good.
Fabulous.
And
Wow.
as Steven mentioned, it is sort of, you've been here almost as much as us. So at this point, So
well,
it is
100. Yeah.
yeah, almost 200. It is kind of your birthday episode too. So sorry to steal your thunder, Steve, but we are talking. Okay, we are. This show here. Let me tell everybody what this show is. Hey, did you see this one? Was the weekly review reaction roundtable discussion podcast where we just have to ask the question, "Hey, did you see this one?" On this show, we take a film and completely pull it apart, leaving no stone unturned. We are your co-hosts. I'm Jason R. Philip Shaft, and Stephen Shaft. We are, of course, going to use that
I'm going to try and
in
use it
perpetuity forever. We stopped using the Power Rangers theme a million times an episode, so we need a new one. I think that'll be it. Can you dig it?
Yeah,
That's right. If you hadn't noticed, this week we're talking about the 2000s hit Shaft, starring John Shaft himself, the second, Samuel L. Jackson, but it also has original Shaft in the film.
Richard
played, of
Roundtree.
course.
He's in the movie. He's there as classic Shaft. This is the new Shaft. Which one's better? I mean, in this movie, this Shaft is better because he has more screen time and does a lot of cool shit. But I don't know. There's always going to be a soft spot in my heart for Richard Roundtree's Shaft, except for that newer Shaft movie that kind of sucked. I don't know if anybody else saw that except me, but I was very excited for it until I saw it.
It's insane that they, the time between 3 Shaft movies is like 40 years or something.
Yeah, it's sort of, they're like, they all team up. There's like all 3 Shafts team up, and it's
The 3 generations of Shaft. But my mind is always blown that Samuel L. Jackson is not that much younger than Richard Roundtree.
Yeah, he's
he's
old.
playing
He's
his
like 75
uncle
now.
in this one, and then is his father in Shaft 2019, who
Oh, they
is
just
himself a father. Yeah, they retconned it. They have one line that's like, "Now that you've stopped pretending to be my uncle."
Okay. Easy, writer's room, easy, low hanging fruit. We did it.
Oh, I didn't even recognize that. I just assumed they were like, I didn't even put together that he says uncle in this because I was like, yeah, this is dad.
No, he says, "Get your mouth off my nephew" or something. Or like, go easy on my nephew. He's gonna poke a hole in something, which is
That's
quite
true.
funny.
That's
Oh,
true.
my hair's in my ears.
Your hair's in your ears. And speaking
Yeah.
of hair in your ears, I think it's time for Zardos to fly through and tell us all about asking for a quick synopsis, I would say.
Zardos.
Zardoz speaks to you. He demands you synopsize this film. Tell him how, why, who, what occurs in this film.
That's right. This is the segment of the show where somebody's going to give us a brief synopsis of this film. Normally, I would just have Steve do it, but since Noel's been here 12 times, Noel, would you like to do a brief synopsis?
Okay.
This one's gonna be a long one. A lot happens in this fucking movie, but also nothing happens in this movie.
So we start with Samuel L. Jackson, who's playing Shaft. He works for the police department. He is, because we know the character Shaft, and he didn't work with the police department. They do kind of a bait and switch, but then he can't, like, because he's asking a lot of questions of the police, and then they're like, "I know the job," and he's like, "I know the job too." So he goes into this bar. And a black man has been murdered outside of the bar, like beaten to death. He's not dead yet, but he will be dead. And we find out that he was beaten to death by Patrick Bateman, who
Yes, Kai Pfeiffer is beaten to death by Patrick Bateman. Yeah,
correct. And we know that the waitress who is at the bar knows something. So the movie settles on Samuel L. Jackson, Shaft, having a vendetta with the character Wade something is his name.
Wade
sorry.
Williams?
Whatever. Patrick Bateman,
Yeah.
who is
His
a
name's
like
Walter,
white.
Walter, is his name
Yeah.
Walter Wade?
Oh yeah, Walter Wade. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Whoops. I can't believe you had me do the synopsis. Anyway.
Already too long.
You saw my face of shock. Okay.
The police are coming for you.
Damn it. Okay, so anyway, so he's a billionaire's kid, and so he posts bail when they take him. He runs away to Switzerland, and then when he comes back, Shaft is still with the police department. He has him arrested. He posts bail again. So Shaft then uses his department-issued Ninja Star badge, throws it at the judge right beside his head, and then quits the force, and so goes on this mission to try and find the waitress who has disappeared in order to make sure that Patrick Bateman goes to jail forever this time instead of getting bailed out. That's Christian bailed out. That's the whole crux of the movie. Then we have another character named Peoples something. It's Jeffrey Wright.
Hernandez.
And he's more the villain of this movie, I would say. And he just kind of gets into a battle of like kind of turf with Shaft, and then they kind of fight it out, and Patrick Bateman kind of goes to the side of that, and then he gets killed by the guy's mom, Trey, who Mekhi Phifer's mother shoots him on the steps of the court, and all is well.
Harriet from Family Matters.
I was like, it's Carmen Sandiego. Yeah. It's the chief from Carmen Sandiego.
Right. She was also in the Warriors, just her lips, but she was in the Warriors.
That's right.
She's in 2 movies in 2 months in a row.
So do you do this to check if I've seen the movie?
No, I should have told you beforehand. I made a judgment call at the last second, and this is what we got. And I loved it, and it was perfect. And with that, we can move on to our brief history.
A brief history.
Yes. Hi.
That's right. Shaft dies, Stratos.
It did kind of sound like the way you kind of
Patrick Bateman died. And Shaft is like, okay, yeah. I'm alive. That's how he ends the movie.
He has a look of like disappointed understanding where he's like, I get why you did that, but you really shouldn't have done that. The whole movie just happened for this moment and you just took it away. Like, I did all that work basically for you to just shoot his ass.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll get to that when we get to that. Do you want to start with your brief history or should I go first?
I can go.
Sure.
Do it.
So Shaft is like ubiquitous. Like I think I had the original Isaac Hayes song because he did re-record it for Shaft 2000, but I had the Shaft 71 or whatever year it was on my like playlist in high school. Like I burnt the MP3 like disc and put it in like anyway. So I love that song. And then I had seen the 71, but like interspersed on like some late channel at one point and remembered very little about it. And Shaft 2000, I saw interspersed on like the movie network, I think, when I lived at my mom's place, and also remembered very little about it. I remember liking 2000 because I think it's that kind of action movie that I like, very low stakes, even though it feels like there are high stakes. I'll let you know how I felt about it on second watch, but I was never a big fan, but I was aware of it and I liked it. And I liked Sam Jackson. Like I've kind of always enjoyed him on screen. So.
Me too. And this is technically, I guess, in a way, a sort of a sequel to the Richard Roundtree 1971, you said? Yeah, 1971. Sort of. In the way that like, you know, it's not like a Star Wars The Force Awakens level sequel so much as it is like Shaft is in this movie as Shaft, and like the idea that he was doing his Shaft stuff potentially happened, and this is just his nephew now taking up the mantle, which is kind of cool. I think I've only seen the first Shaft movie. I don't think I've seen the sequels. There's a good chance I've seen chunks of the sequels on television at some point in my life. My dad really liked Shaft, so it was kind of on at times in my life. But this one is the sort of like the Shaft that got me into the whole concept of Shaft in general. I was kind of like aware of it, but I had never really sat down and watched any of them. And my friend had this on VHS. He got it, I think, the year the same year it came out in theater, and we would just watch it over and over and over again. I don't think his mom realized just how actually violent it is. And anytime she would come down, we'd pause it. We'd be playing with like Star Wars action figures. Be like, yeah, let's just mute it for a second while the Boba Fett, where? So my brief history is that I saw this when he got it, I think for Christmas or something, and we just kept watching it over and over to the point that we will sometimes quote this movie without realizing we're quoting this movie until somebody like asks, like, is that from something? And I'm like, yeah, it's from Shaft. Shaft 2000. But it's a very special movie to me because it's one of the first R-rated movies that I did get really into and I didn't find sort of off-putting or frightening, and watched the hell out of it, just because we thought it was so cool. We were talking about it today a little bit, and I'm like, what about this movie scratched an itch for my childhood brain so hard that I wanted to watch it that many times over and over and over again? And we hit on the point that it's like, it's edited almost like a kid's movie where there's constantly score and there's constantly people talking and the scenes are short and the transitions are interesting and visually compelling. And I'm like, it's cut together in the same way that they would cut like a Disney movie together almost, to sort of like keep your mind occupied the entire time, where you don't actually want to look at your phone because there's so much happening on screen the entire time that you don't need to. Your brain doesn't get bored, which is great. And
your brain doesn't get bored.
My specific type of brand of ADHD, it really works for me.
I still manage to look away from my phone.
Listen, when there's like really sort of like
my phone,
when there's that like sort of whimsy flute music sort of like constantly happening with like the funky bass going as well, just him walking is compelling. It doesn't always make sense. Like at the end of that opening sequence, he walks in the middle of the road like into direct traffic and the camera's just like craning across with him, and you're like, I don't feel like that's not safe, Shaft. There's a sidewalk on either side. Why do you have to walk in the middle?
But it's cool.
It's cool as
so
shit.
Cool.
The music is so cool and everything about it is so cool. And that's just kind of how you feel throughout this entire movie. There's not really a moment where Shaft isn't cool in some way, right? Like there's not a moment of Shaft being defeated in which he is not immediately doing something cool within seconds of that defeat. Anyway, this is almost getting into like review territory. So my brief history is that I saw it once, loved it, never knew squibs could look like that, and then just kept watching it a million times over until that VHS broke. And here we are.
That's both of your collective experience is very similar to mine. I also had the song downloaded on MP3 players and CDs, burned CDs. That wouldn't come until a little bit later, because what happened with this was weird. My grandmother, who had like pretty early on, like onset, like dementia, like would have episodes and just like kind of go crazy for periods of time. I remember she like disappeared for a while one time, and she returned around my birthday with Shaft on VHS. And in retrospect, I think she was trying to be like kind of a fuck you to my mom, because I would have been 15 when this movie came out. And she was kind of trying to be like a little like, he can watch whatever he wants. He's 15 now. And also, screw you, I'll do what I want. And at the time, I remember being like,
wait, this is your grandma doing this, or
this
you?
Is my grandmother, yeah.
Okay, your grandma like throws you Shaft. He can do whatever he wants.
And I received it, and it, grandmothers give bad gifts. Like that's kind of part of it. And I remember being like, this rules. This is amazing. It's got violence and swearing, and this new Samuel L. Jackson guy I've been hearing about. No movie that existed up to this point that I could watch Sam Jackson in. And despite this movie being rated R, it does not feel like
Frozone, kids. This is way before Frozone.
But it doesn't feel like a rated R movie in a lot of ways. There's swearing in it, but like the progression of like when Steve, you said it to me earlier that it feels like a kid's movie. It really does feel like a PG-13 movie that just has a little more swearing. The violence isn't even over the top. the sexual innuendo isn't even that over the top. It's my
It's
duty to please that
extremely
mood
sexless.
is more cheesy than it is sexual. It's funny. I remember saying that from the moment I saw it on. But the weird thing about this film is I haven't seen it. I said 15. I owned it on VHS. It got lost in the shuffle somewhere along the way, and I don't remember a single thing from it, even though I know I watched this movie 100 times. I know that this was one of those, like, it's Saturday afternoon. I've got the Star Wars trilogy. I've got Nightmare Before Christmas, and I've got Shaft, and I'm going to watch all of it while I play with my action figures. So
the craziest thing about this movie to me is that, like, I do often have trouble remembering it in its entirety when I'm not in it, but as soon as I'm in it, I'm just
exactly.
like I'm going through the dialogue with the characters, like line for line. Where it's like, "Do you know who my father is?" And then I'm like, "No, do you?" And like I'm just talking with the movie. Like I remember every zinger.
That's the craziest thing about this movie.
That's not the craziest thing. It's just that like the movie almost doesn't exist. It's like a ghost in my brain until I put it on, and then I'm possessed by it. You know.
I agree with that, and it sort of in summation for my brief history, it's like the most forgettable movie until you're watching it again and you remember every beat. I even remember like that weird part where like he's in the backyard and he's having the shootout with like the brother and his buddy. Like that like hit me like a sack of bricks.
It hit you
and
like
it's
a Paul Verhoeven squib right in the chest.
Yeah,
a tuft of mist, red mist.
For everyone playing the home game, it's a Noel episode, and we just mentioned Paul Verhoeven, so there it is.
But I really am glad that we revisited this because I wouldn't have. It was one of those movies too where I felt like, I saw it. I saw it a whole bunch when I was a kid. I need to revisit. But now it's going to be one I feel like because that score could lull me to sleep. I think in a good way, not in a boring way. And like this is very soothing.
Like again, that sort of jazzy flute is just like the most. That is the sexiest thing about the movie is the music. Other than that, there's like nothing. You're like
it's like Black James Bond and then Black James Bond music.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to production talk so we can sort of talk about the fact that this is Black James Bond.
Sure.
All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of shit.
Sound. Speed. Action!
So just sort of right off the top, the budget for this movie was only $46 million. I think they got a lot out of $46 million. And the box office was 107.2, which is at that time, this seems like sequel, right? They didn't make a sequel for 19 years. And it wasn't even a sequel, it's more of a revival. It's like, what if right before Roundtree passes, we get all three shafts? We got a new shaft, kid shaft.
Do you think it was because of 9/11? For anyone playing the home game, that's the 9/11
9/11 wouldn't happen for a year, and in 2019, it's right before COVID. Whoa. Every time a Shaft movie comes out, a horrible disaster happens the next year.
Yeah.
So we better never get another Shaft movie. Although I don't remember one coming out this year.
Heyo.
Not that kind of tragedy.
No, but I mean, movies did change a little. Like, especially these R-rated shoot a lot of people movies. They became much more superhero sexless, and then we get to where we are now.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with that. This movie, the Shaft series is based off novels. Have either of you read a Shaft novel? Because I didn't even know what I wanted to say about this movie specifically and its pacing. It feels a lot like when they revive an 80s or 70s TV show and they jam in a bunch of characters as like the villains or side characters. I could have seen this being the exact plot to a 70s Shaft movie, just with way more blaxploitation. This isn't really like that. This feels a lot more by the numbers, late 90s sort of action film with some caveats. But
I mean, there's still a decent amount of blaxploitation in this movie, but you're right. It doesn't have that much in the DNA, but it still exists. It's almost like they were trying to open it up to make it more palatable for like a wider audience, I suppose.
Yeah. I found a big tone problem kept rubbing up. Like there was stuff that felt more problematic than it was because it just couldn't decide I felt like it couldn't decide if it was a comedy, if it was like an action like movie like an Armageddon who would have been coming out at the same time, or if it was a parody of itself or a parody of like a Bond film that would have been coming out at the time. Like it just felt like it had so much of each of those threads in it, and the pacing wasn't the problem. It's just like from scene to scene the tone would change. It'd be
it's very
like
earnest in
hold on.
its delivery. Okay, sorry. Oh, I thought you said hold on.
No, I was like, hold on. Like it kept giving me tonal whiplash. Like, wait, are we in a serious moment now? And ultimately that just, I enjoyed the movie because I like an unserious movie. I like things like this.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind. But I felt like there was a tonal problem. And I think that speaks to what you were saying. That's how I read what you're saying.
Yeah, it definitely felt very cartoonish one moment and then deadly serious another. But I think like you, that's one of the things that I enjoy about it. It's, you don't really know what you're going to get until you're in it. And then you're like, oh God, this is kind of weirdly frightening, this moment that's
like
happening right
it's really serious subject matter.
Yeah.
Like boiled down, like
Well,
the inciting incident.
What's interesting about that is it was written and directed largely in part by John Singleton, who directed Boys in the Hood and Poetic Justice, sort of those early 2000s like dramas, and then Baby Boy. He goes on to make Too Fast, Too Furious, but also
A
he
great
directed
movie.
episodes of Snowfall and like he has there's messaging in here that is closer to something like Poetic Justice or Boys in the Hood than to just a straight up action film. So I think that might be that weird tonal shift. It's like the producers were like, make a big blaxploitation, Shaft film, and then the director's like, I made Boys in the Hood, man. I can't make it full cartoon.
Or it might even have been that like he wanted to go almost to like an Austin Powers level, but they're like, no, that's too much. That's too far.
Yeah, I did have that moment of like, I wonder where the studio notes were, because 2000 was kind of a godless time where certain things were coming in. Like you could get a lot of things under the radar here and do a lot of stuff that I feel like you couldn't do before or after. But I don't know. A movie got less woke somehow from 1971 to 2000. Like it went from being like deeply unproblematic for the most part to like what a lot of places, and I think it's that tonal thing. But I think that's a very 2000s thing as well. Like trying to pick out a whole bunch of different things out of the zeitgeist and like throw it into a box office like summer hit.
Yeah, and it's even like, even the characters in the movie, like some of them just appear and then disappear and are never to be seen again, where you're like, oh, this guy's going to be a foil, I bet. No, he's just there to say something racist to Shaft, and then he literally disappears for the movie for the rest of
Half the
time.
cast of The Wire is in this movie.
Yeah, Bubbles and Lee, what's his name? Lee Turgeson from Oz is in it, and he's just like comically racist for no reason. And then Shaft's kind of okay with it, but I wanted kind of
that's their rapport. They're both
racist more of a buddy
to each
cop.
other. He calls him a Nazi, and then he calls him some sort of like mild racial slur that you're like, I don't even know what the implication is here.
That word was said twice. I was like, I should look that up, and then I thought, nah.
I think it's just like a food that is made at like, it's like a cultural food. Like
we make cornbread in our home. It's delightful.
I know,
No, but
like,
why is he like? What's the insult there? Like I was like, there must be something deeper, and I meant to look it up, and then I was like, I don't need to live with that. Actually, I'm just gonna.
You're like, I'm good with being ignorant to why. Is it not like part of a like cultural thing? I thought that was what it was, but I'm not.
It is.
I told you I didn't look it up.
I'm not asking you, Noel. I'm asking Jason.
It's like like the racism behind certain other foods that I don't really feel like I need to mention, but let's just say they all happen at a barbecue.
Oh, you should list them. You should list them, Jason. What are all the racist foods?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's just like it's one of those things where it's like, wouldn't it be nice if there's a character that we think is a piece of shit that Shaft hates, and then later on we can show like, oh, they don't actually hate each other. They just have this sort of like contentious relationship at work based on almost nothing more than the color of their skin. Like it's like they're scripted to hate each other because of it, but they still respect each other and kind of like each other.
And he's gonna like come in big for him, where the other guys who you think are gonna be friends with him aren't, and it gives us a delightful little like ooh feeling.
Yeah, love a crooked cop.
Because those two crooked cops are like, it's so they breeze over it so
And
quickly.
how could you?
Yeah, they breeze over it so quickly at the beginning of the movie, like they don't know who they are, right? Like these guys just showed up in town to like help them with this I guess like local drug lord.
I didn't
But
even catch it.
Yeah, they're like, we're from another precinct, we're here to help you on this case, and then they just stick around, I guess. And it is like one of those things that I didn't even really know that until watching it yesterday. I was like, oh, okay, this makes more sense. Now that I'm watching it through like an analytical lens, I'm really making sure I absorb all the information this movie is giving me, because this movie has maybe too much information at times, where there's like 15 characters all with their own individual drive and motivation working either with or against each other in some different way. And it almost gets like too hard to handle the complexity of the relationships between everybody, and then
Yes.
everybody just starts dying.
But it's not like an MCU movie where you have to know everything about everything. Here, if you pick up 70 to 80% of what's going on, you're going to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, if Shaft is working with somebody, you can just be like, I just assumed that this is someone that Shaft had some dirt on, who we got to help him for this
That's
moment.
exactly it.
Previous Shaft
Yeah.
adventure that we're not
Yeah.
watching right now.
Yeah, it's just fine. You're like, oh, he's helping him. Like, it's more emotionally driven. Like,
And if you just watch this through the lens of it being a Nick Fury story, also, it also works. I think a lot of times I was like, I could see this just being a week in Nick Fury's life at some point, because it's New York, and is it New York? It's New York, right?
that's
It is.
Yeah. So, we know why he got his eye patch in the MCU, but maybe, right after that, he didn't have an eye patch and didn't have the scar. And anyway, that's stupid. I
he's
also
using
want to.
nanotechnology.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
was gonna say the only thing similar in this movie to the MCU is his facial hair. That is a Tony
little
Stark
beanie.
goatee if I've ever seen one.
Sorry, I keep bringing up the MCU because it's like action movies before the MCU and then action movies after the MCU feels like a divider, right? Like,
Yeah,
I agree,
I can
yeah.
see that. Yeah.
They all suck now. No, I'm just kidding.
whoa. But yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
X-Men and Spider-Man.
Sorry, if you guys like watching video game cutscenes at the end of every movie you watch, then you'll love
I do.
MCU movies.
Gotta say.
Yeah.
Just to move us along.
I
a
like
little bit,
squibs and blood packs. They're way better.
the reason why this score is so good is because the same composer worked on such films as, well, Hot Fuzz just popped up. He also did not only the Pierce Brosnan movie Tomorrow Never Dies, but also Casino Royale. He worked on Zoolander. Independence Day is in here.
Okay, Zoolander has an
Stargate.
amazing, not score, but
Soundtrack. It's just interesting that he Roland Emmerich he worked with on Independence Day and Stargate, which is crazy.
Stargate has a
So-
great track. Independence Day, I don't even remember a single note from that soundtrack at all.
but like you start with that Isaac Hayes song, which won the Academy Award for the 71 movie, and he became the first Black man to win an Academy Award. And that soundtrack for 71 also won a Golden Globe. So you're starting with an amazing award-winning soundtrack.
Yeah. That's like going into Star Wars where you're like, well, we already got 75% of our work done here. we just need to visually match this amazing.
Yeah,
music.
like John Williams, can you make us a song and get that guy who's on Disney staff who did the other songs for Frozen 2? Can you get him on here? Okay, great.
It's one of the things about the soundtrack that I love in this movie is that, if you're listening with sort of a close ear, like example would be like the moment where Patrick Bateman and and Jeremy Wright are in prison together. Every time it cuts back and forth, they have their own instrument that's playing sort of similar but different jingles underneath like the bass sort of line Shaft music. And you're like, this is like how they do in Star Wars. You know, when Yoda's talking, there's a Yoda theme happening, and then it goes to Luke and there's a Luke theme. It's happening in Shaft.
Leitmotifs,
Yeah.
which
It's
comes
so-
from opera.
Opera's music.
It's Shaft and opera.
Shaft is an opera.
Try come to our opera month coming soon.
Well, I would say that the Fast and Furious movies are like a Homeric poem, like an essay, like a great epic. And I think that franchises like Shaft have some of that, of like this Homeric poem thing. Only they're more like 4-part operas, 5-part operas, like let's say Wagner's The Ring, whereas you have Fast and Furious, which is more like your Odyssey or Iliad. I mean that seriously.
No, I know. I don't have anything to add to that because I'm not a literacy major.
I thought you were gonna say I'm not
Because you're illiterate.
Yeah.
The worst part is I never learned to read.
Yeah, you don't.
The irony.
Oh.
Well, on top of that, the cinematography in this movie is fantastic. Everything makes sense. There's a lot of. I don't think there was too many like real problems with any editing or anything like that, and the vibe of the whole thing works really well. We did kind of touch on it in our brief history, but there's a section in the middle of the film that just feels like, and we'll get to this in a minute when we start talking about the layout of the movie, but it just sort of is like this happens and then we go over to here and then we go over to there and it just blah, 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 blah. But I think that works for something like this, because if it was slower, I think it would be detrimental to the film. I think it works as almost a TV show level speed.
Agreed.
There's almost like a montagey feel to this movie at points where there's so much happening at once that it feels like you're watching a beautifully shot music video.
Yeah.
But yes, shall we go into the movie talk of the movie itself? Oh
Yes.
man, I wish I did a Shaft version of the body of the episode. The body of the episode. Shut your
Da-da-da-da-da.
Ho, 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 ho! Everybody back up, because here comes the body of the episode.
That is right, and this has happened a couple times recently, where we start the show and then immediately
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
You telling me they said the name of the movie in the movie at any point during this movie?
well
Weird.
because
I
the
didn't
movie
clock it.
because the movie opens up with the Shaft theme song, it says it right away. But then also it's one of those films where it's about the main character, so of course I say his name a lot. Getting that out of the way, 1 minute in is when they actually say it. It's like immediate, and then Shaft rolls up to see that Mekhi Phifer has been.
Is that including the theme song?
Well, there's a whole like intro sequence.
I don't think this song counts. I'm saying the name. Oh,
I think it does. Anyway,
okay. Sorry. Before we go any further, I just want to say the thing about time: 100 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's why I was able to pay attention to this movie, because it's a reasonable length of time.
Yeah.
And it was only when you pointed it out that I went back and looked and was like, this is perfect. Why don't we do movies like this anymore? It's like Amy Heckerling when she was editing her movies. The people were like, how do you get them down to such a tight timeline? And she's like, every time I'm bored, I tell them to cut stuff.
oh, I wish I could be that sort of like separate from stuff, because like even doing these Star Wars videos, like the guy who runs the channel is like, your videos are too long. I'm like, everything is important. Every word is important. Pay attention to what I'm saying. If the world was unfortunate to have me as a director, they'd all be 7 hours long.
We live in a world without editing now. Like the books that I'm reading, like there shouldn't be that many 500-page like romantasy novels. They're just shit. And people just edit. But sorry, 100 minutes. I just wanted to say this movie did a fantastic. That's my favorite part of the movie. That it's 100 minutes.
If this movie was 2 hours and 10 minutes, I would just be like, that's too much Shaft, I think.
That's what she said.
Somebody, I'm glad somebody. Steve's gone. He left. He's like, nope.
No, I just got a message from a client.
A client.
He said, "Can
There's
you
a
do
lot of
Sherman
alcohol in
voice?"
it. I think I made a mistake.
Nice. I have to go get another beer here in a second. Right. So Mekhi Phifer, bit part is down on the ground. Maybe not.
I like so this is the like the opening of this movie is fucking great because it cuts right from the
Be back
soundtrack.
1 sec.
We're already getting sort of a music video-y montage of him making love to a woman so that we know that he does in fact make love to women.
It's a very nostalgic, like very
Yes.
choppy cut. Like it gives you that vibe. Like you feel like you're actually being brought in from 1971 on a bridge into
Yeah.
Shaft
not even-
2000.
Yeah, not even just visually, but everything, right? The music, the way it's cut, it feels very much like an early James Bond, sort of like,
Yeah.
dancing lady intro from a James Bond movie.
And I think the redoing of the theme song actually works because Ezek's voice is a little bit deeper. The backup singers, like your Greek choir, like it's just a little bit different. It's a little more updated. It's a little faster than the old song, and I think that brings it in because it really is. I think it's very beautiful actually how they did that opening and just brought us in from something that you didn't have to know the history of it, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
think
you didn't watch that
there's-
movie, but you knew.
Shaft is sort of one of those kind of like folklore-y characters of American culture in the same way that James Bond is to, British culture in general, where it's like most people, if you say Shaft, you'll know what Shaft is, even if you've never seen a Shaft movie. Like, you know who Batman is? Do you know who Spider-Man is? Yes, yes, yes. You know who Shaft is? Yes, I do know who Shaft is. Tim sent us like a very funny little snip from the Tick television show, the cartoon TV show when we were kids. And it's like an episode where the Tick gets a mustache that's like an alien parasite or whatever. And he has like a guy who's like a Shaft equivalent that he's talking to about powerful mustaches.
Do you remember the White Zombie album where it starts with I just set up yours, baby, the line from 71 Shaft? Like it's just
do.
there.
Well, I wanted to ask you guys because I've never, and I forgot to mention this in my brief history, but I've never sat through a whole Shaft movie. And I am curious in my head, much like the way that I had horror completely wrong. I imagined that Shaft was more of a sexual romp intercut with shootouts.
I mean, the 70s movies are a little bit more that, but they're like crime drama camp, right? Like where it's like
They're very slow, I
yeah,
would say.
they're similar to the Luke Cage television show, which I'm sure you've watched, right, Jason? If
Yeah.
I can compare it to something that you could sort of like slither into a modern equivalent of, that's kind of the vibe. More so the latter half of the season than the early half, but like there is sort of a shaftiness to that show.
Maybe
outside
that's
of
why
just
I
the fact that
Did
it's
you ever
like-
watch like The Equalizer or any of those TV shows? Because it feels
I didn't
like
I
it's
didn't
got
realize
kind of that vibe
Equalizer
to it.
was a remake, and then the TV show was like a remake of the remake.
Oh, I love The Equalizer. Not the movie, the show.
Queen
Hate
Latifah
the
one
movie,
or the
love
one from
Makes me feel so good.
Wasn't
love
The
The
Equalizer a
Equalizer.
movie? I thought it was a movie. The new
it's
one.
a Denzel Washington trilogy, I think, and then now there's a Queen Latifah TV show.
But there was
Wow.
a TV show that played on A&E Bravo along with LA Confidential and Ironside. That I really
From what, the
Ironside.
80s?
Yeah.
That's a sound clip we should have on this show.
Have you
Anyway.
have you not seen the 71 Shaft all the way through?
No, I remember seeing bits and pieces of it on TV, but I never saw
It's
it.
like this Shaft without any of the kills. He's never a cop, and it's a lot slower.
Oh, okay.
It's
That's
like
probably the.
anytime you hear like the and like the do 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 do.
It's mostly just
it's
a
kind
pan
that
of the
vibe
city.
entire time.
Yeah,
Cool.
So
that sounds like pretty interesting, actually.
yeah, I like it. It's all right.
So after we get through the theme song, it immediately cuts into Shaft getting out of a police car and pushing his way through a crowd, and it's so beautifully shot where it has that sort. It's like dripping with that sort of '90s vibe of this type of movie, more so like the mid to late '90s. But you can also see a lot of it in what came after this. Right, this movie almost set like sort of a weird tone for the next 5 to 6 years of movie making, and in a very specific way. But it was also sort of aping off of or emulating a lot of things that came before it. But it does have like its own identity for me specifically. When I watch it, I could just see like screenshots from this movie without Sam Jackson in them, and I would know what movie I'm watching. But it's really well done, and it also sets up the intrigue immediately. And the music is carrying a lot of the weight here, which I think is going to be something I say a lot throughout this discussion, is that the soundtrack is carrying a lot of weight.
I was
particularly
blown away by the score. A lot of times I stopped, like I forgot to watch the movie, and I was just like in the background with the music because of it's so heavy. Like like you can feel the weight of it. It's not necessarily bassy. It's like cello-y almost, where you can just feel it. And it just amplifies the scenes. Like if it had a bad score, if the score was way more based off of the Shaft theme specifically, I don't think it would have hit as hard. When you have that full like orchestral stuff happening in the background, it just makes everything so much more heavy. Sorry for lack of a better word.
But it also, like, it's absolutely emulating that sort of cop TV drama vibe from the 70s, right? Like it's taking that and it's dressing it up in modern clothing in the sense of the sound and the vibe, but it still has that as its primary sort of like building block. And it's
not taking anything away from it. I think, like, I'm not a person who, so when I watch movies, one of the things I've realized recently is that I put them on really low and really rely on the subtitles. And I don't know why I do that, but that's just a natural thing that I do. And I actually watched this one not on my phone for the first time ever. I actually put it on a TV and watched it between my dog's ears, like she was a sight. She did not like the movie, if you're wondering. But I didn't really like, soundtracks aren't something that I always pay attention to, but because I wasn't listening in my headphones and I was watching this one lower because it was on the larger TV, I still had the music, but I wasn't ever distracted by it. So I'm hoping that it's not me just being a plebeian and it just like helps the emotions. Because I remember feeling very anxious at one point and the music was a lot more intense. And I was like, maybe this is why now.
Yeah. No, it's doing so much work, and in ways that, again, if you're not sort of paying attention to it, it would just be a moody thing where you're like, why am I feeling this way? Oh, it's because the limo is pulling up and there's an evil low bass cello playing as it's pulling up.
I kind of want to rewatch it now through my headphones.
I wasn't even watching with headphones, but I did have the volume quite loud.
I kind of want to do that now.
I watched it on headphones, but then I switched to a projector. I watched the second half of the movie in my bedroom in the dark on a projector, and that also was a great experience because the projector speaker is like right next to my ear, but also seeing it big. Like I want to see this movie in theaters after seeing it, at
That's the
80
thing with a lot
inches
of
or
these
whatever.
movies. These amazing late 90s, 2000s action movies that I wish that we lived in a place that had more rerun theaters and had like you could go see some of these movies on the big screen. And I hate that in LA like there's a movie playing at all times somewhere like around you, but here there isn't. Toronto's such an amazing city, but that's what we're missing. Because it would be so great to see so many of these movies on the big screen. Like it sucks. Like Tron Legacy can only be seen on a big screen.
It is weird that they don't even try, because like I feel like that is sort of the secret sauce to like modern cinemas dying. It's like if you want to make some extra cheddar, like those 5 theaters that are playing Captain America Red Hulk Takes Over or whatever it's called. Red Fever,
that's what it's called. Yeah, Red Fever.
They didn't even play Revenge of the Sith at any, I was looking for it and they didn't play it at any of the theaters.
They didn't put that in anything here because they made a big deal out of it.
They did. Arjun went last week and it was.
I was looking.
Well, I'll ask Arjun.
Sorry. So the fact is that it wasn't at any of the major theaters.
Well, he went 4DX, so that's a
Did
It
he
wasn't
see it?
in any of the theaters I lived near.
Well,
okay.
okay.
The 40X
Did he see it in
is,
like Brampton or something? Like, did
No, he
see it
saw
out-
it. He saw it in Toronto, guys.
Okay.
He lives in Toronto. He saw it. I think he saw it at the Scotiabank Theater. Anyway,
I'm super jealous now.
but they had to leave 25 minutes in because his wife is pregnant and 40X's chairs punch you. And she was like, I gotta get out of here. Like,
Maybe, yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
sorry.
let me
That
move
was a
forward little
whole.
bit, though.
Sorry, let's go back to the movie.
Mekhi Phifer on the ground. Steve, showed us that scene very well of him pushing through. Toni Collette's there. She's like a shaking waitress. Shaft questions her about the situation a little bit. I noticed a Christmas tree in the background, so this is a Christmas movie. And Christian Bale is in this. He has blood on his hands, literally. And we find out that he, when he's questioned, he says, he started it, I finished it. So it turns out that he allegedly got into a fight with him and cracked him
I
over
mean,
the head
he
with some
admits
sort of...
to it.
Yeah.
He like literally confesses to the crime right then and there.
But says it's self-defense.
Yeah. But basically, we'll find out in a minute what the deal there is. And he's very much a "do you know who my father is" type.
He
Toni
literally
Collette-
says that. He says
Yeah.
that exact line.
"Do you know who my father is?"
Do
That's
you?
my Christian Bale. Toni Collette is Diane, and she there's the other waitress that we meet again later in the movie, who's somebody she looked familiar to me. Can I pull her up real quick here? Sonia,
So,
no, not Sonia.
Shaft does
Sloan.
notice that Patrick Bateman and Toni Collette both have blood on them.
Right.
Like, Patrick Bateman has blood on his finger, but Toni Collette has it.
On her face, and we find out like the end of the movie why it's there.
Why? Yeah.
And he Shaft clocks it immediately because he's
Because he's
Bronx
Shaft.
James Bond.
Shut your
Yeah.
mouth.
Can you dig it?
He uses his shaft senses.
I wanted to point out
The very obvious blood. Yeah, he's.
there's more subverted
He's
racism
like
in this.
activating shaft vision, and it's like predator vision, but it's like he also is like clocking like rating the female form of everyone around him as well at like percentage.
It's like Batman's detective view from the
Yeah.
Arkham games, but he can
Yeah.
your sexy stuff too. Wade's character in this is like comically racist during this exchange, and he
I mean,
because of-
everybody in this movie is turned up to some sort of like 11th dial cartoon character. Right?
Everyone is a caricature,
Yeah, there's
which
no
I could have been offended at several points in the movie before I realized that every single person is a caricature, and
Yeah.
I just had to let it.
that's
To the
kind of
point
the
that
split.
even like all the extras, it's like they've cast people who also have like crazy faces. They're like
Well,
like, nobody's
Elizabeth
gonna
Banks is in this scene. She's in this movie with no lines as an extra, which I thought was insane.
You thought
Did
it
you
was
guys watch that?
insane.
I thought it was insane because she hadn't. I guess she wasn't anybody yet, but
Who?
Elizabeth Banks.
Oh yeah, yeah, she's right there.
And anyway, what ends up happening is he says a bunch of like kind of racial epithets at Mekhi Phifer. Mekhi Phifer stands up for himself by cutting eyes out of a napkin, a white napkin, and puts it over his face. And that scene has always stuck with me of Christian Bale being embarrassed, him just being like,
When he activates his robotic acting powers and starts sweating on command. You're like, holy
yeah,
fuck,
exactly. He starts
doing a nervous sweat somehow.
Has he
crying,
ever
but not in a
played
sad way.
British, like ever in a movie?
In
Like
Dragon,
I can't.
Dragon Heart, not
Oh
Dragon,
yeah, Dragonheart,
Rain of
yeah.
Fire. Yeah,
Rain of Fire, yeah.
Okay, like I haven't watched a single movie where he's using his real accent.
And in that viral video clip, the viral audio clip of him melting down at that stagehand during Terminator Genesis or whatever.
yeah, that was just some sort of art installation.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is also a pretty good sequence because he's interviewing the girlfriend of Mekhi Phifer, and she's just kind of recanting the event there. Like she's going through the events of what occurred, and it's kind of cutting back and forth to her telling the story, Shaft's reaction, and then just sort of like him playing the images in his mind so that we can see it happening in real time as the viewer. And I think like in terms of what it's doing for a scene, it's got a really good sense of accomplishment for me when it's like as soon as something like big happens, it'll like cut to Shaft and he'll have like sort of this like half shit-eating grin on his face, like yeah, fuck that guy. Like, he got embarrassed. I'm glad he got embarrassed.
That movie right now would just be like a long line of dialogue. We wouldn't really get too much like moving back and forth between the three.
It would be a long push in on her, and she would just be giving a really traumatic retelling of the events, and she would be breaking down during it. And Shaft would every once in a while we get him nodding. We wouldn't have this
and
like nice.
They explain
crisp.
every piece to you. It's a very effective way of like setting you into this.
Yeah, like her saying like he was embarrassed. His friends were all laughing at him, and while she's saying it, it's like cutting to him like biting his knuckle, and they're all just like knee slapping, like you fucking idiot. Shouldn't have said all that racist junk. It wasn't even clever racist junk, you know.
No.
it was hacky bullshit.
It was equal to the cornbread thing, only a little bit more
I would say
jarring.
there's never clever racist.
That was the joke that I was making.
That's just
I was joking.
But we find out that his name is Walter Wade Jr. I guess his dad is somebody. He has Diane's ID when
real
Shaft is
estate
talking to
developer.
him. So they're big time white collar crime guys.
Oh, I wore this that campfire last week. I just realized I'm like, do I
My
smell
hat
fire? I do.
My hat has smelled like campfire all week because of the campfire. It turns out that as they're outside, they're Shaft is questioning people. They take out Mekhi Phifer on a stretcher. He seizes up again, and fucking Walter Wade Jr. is just still saying horrible things at him, which was a lot. It was a lot, just comically racist. And the score here is when I noticed that the score in this movie is nuts, because he punches out Wade, and he gets like his superior shows up. So you can't just be punching people. You're suspended, and then he punches Wade again, and he's basically like, he broke my nose. This guy, I'm out of here.
Yeah, it's good. It is one of those things where you get instant gratification in what's happening as the audience member. You're like, somebody punch this guy, and then
maybe this is why I don't like movies. I'm like, no, don't punch him now. He's gonna post bail, and then he does, and I'm like, I told you not to punch him.
But we're like sitting here with our base emotions, being like, somebody needs to punch Patrick Bateman right in his fucking stupid nose.
He is playing the role of like patriarchy, white man, the man, like where it's like evil, the one person. So yes, he's like
the man. Yeah, he's the man that they talk about when they say the man is getting you down. It's him. He's the man, and he also is. Yeah, he's like the embodiment of white privilege, but like jacked up again to like a level 12.
Where you don't have to talk of any of the systemic things. You can just focus it on one person. You have a 2000s movie. You're good.
And then everyone else is enabling it around him, kind of thing. Like
that's also kind of like how they get the like blaxploitation element into this film without it being too over the top. Is they caricaturize a lot of the characters in this to make them kind of one note. Instead of having any real depth. Nobody in this movie has real depth except for arguably Shaft. He's got a bit of depth. Everybody else is like, I don't know if I call it deep.
It's pretty shallow.
Pretty shallow. But
what I find so weird about that in this movie, though, is that the 71 doesn't have a lot of caricature to it. Like, people are a lot more grounded.
Well, I think it's because this movie is emulating that, where it's like it's going to come off caricature because it's emulating the 70s, right?
Right, and that's where the tone thing that I was talking about is kind of difficult for me, where I'm like, okay, so it's joking, so it's not, so it's, but it's fun.
It is fun. That's the thing, but it's a roller coaster ride, which is it, and it doesn't even really end. Like even when the movie's over, you're like, you could start it back right at the beginning, and you'd be like just as satisfied going on the ride a second.
Roller coaster. Yeah.
Would you consider this a action comedy?
Yes.
I would, but not in the way that like Pineapple Express is a action comedy. I just think that it's a very funny action movie.
This is an action comedy in the traditional sense of an action comedy.
Yes.
Pineapple Express is a fucking clown movie full of
Yeah.
guns.
Because
Love Guns and Clowns.
I'm a Weenie Hut Junior, so I can only I can very much tell when it's an action movie because I'm stressed the whole time. In a action comedy, I'm like, I like this movie.
Busta Rhymes shows up, and you're like, yeah.
Yep,
Oh, thank
I'm
God.
here. This is why I only like Fast and Furious movies.
Those have a huge element of comedy in them. I would say, yeah, this feels almost like the pacing and the sort of dynamic of a Fast and Furious, just without car chases, I guess.
Yeah, the whole time I was thinking like
There's
something
car chases
should really have done a Fast and Furious movie, and they're like, oh,
Yeah, Too Fast, Too Furious, baby. Our boy
Shaft
John
feels like a
Singleton.
character that could
that
show
rat
up.
eats
in-
into the guy's stomach because they
Shaft
make it
feels like
too
a
hot in the
character
bucket.
that could show up in the Fast and the Furious, and he would be like right at home in that world.
I would die if Sam Jackson was in,
As Shaft, yeah, that'd be good.
as Nick Fury.
Playing Shaft. But
All right,
this
let's-
is when we get that cool shot of him walking down the middle of the road for no reason. Just cool.
The reason is
Um,
because he's leaving, and he's too cool to get into his car that he arrived in. He did arrive in a car, by the way.
Right, yeah.
He
I don't need
just
this
decided to
car.
Walk away.
It was a department car though, and he was suspended, so that's why he was
Oh,
walking.
you know what? I never thought about that fact. You're right. But the
That's
quickest
actually
way
what
to
I
get
was
down the
thinking.
road is the middle
I
of
was
the-
like, oh, I guess he has to walk home.
Well,
I think it's supposed to symbolize that he's making his own path, guys.
Okay.
Yes.
He's
I
not
like it.
taking he's not taking the sidewalk because that's the man built that. He's gonna
Well-
take his own way, which is the middle of the fucking road.
Ugh.
He's in between he's in between the
It's a-
badge and the brothers, as he says multiple times throughout the movie. He's
It's a
right in
great
the
shot.
middle of the fucking road. And it looks good.
He's a bad mother.
Oh, you can't just
We need a symbol for that or something.
And now you wonder why I put all the ones that I gotta click fast at the top of the list. Jason tried to reorganize the list and he put all my quick sound bites at the bottom, and I'm like, what are you thinking? To scroll all the way down and get fucking the
I thought I
Green
was-
Ranger theme song?
I thought I was
Where's
putting
the
them in
fart
order.
noise song? Like, where is it?
It's way down at the bottom now because I don't use it very often. Whoa!
So much reverb. We get a montage of
Still
the
going.
court still going. We get a montage of the court situation. Trey did end up expiring. He passed away, but the bail is only set at 200K, and we find out in a few minutes that it's because Shaft punched him in the nose, basically.
Yeah,
His
and then it
nose is
says
why he got
race
the-
killer skips, and then they didn't put Bale because I guess they're like they don't want to like get too on the nose with Christian Bale being hired. John Singleton's like, should we put Bale and spell it Bale?
And then Walter calls Shaft and taunts him. And that's the scene where he's like, you know why I got out of here? I got out of here because you punched me in the nose.
He's very much at that moment doing his Patrick Bateman voice too, like over the phone. He's like, "Thanks to you, I'm in Switzerland skiing with naked women."
He's got the Patrick Bateman face the whole time.
So it's doing
Yeah,
this person.
which
It's
is
a little
just
bit Bruce Wayne too.
It's just like an
So why I can't take that 95 Little Women or whenever the hell it is, because I'm like, no, Patrick Bateman is not Laurie. Like, I can't do it.
I literally went like this to the screen at one point to get the Batman to get his. Or no, wait, what is it? It would be that. Yeah, whatever. You get it. I wanted to see him as Batman. So
I think
put
that
my hand
Christian
up to the
Bale is one
screen.
of those like actors where I'm like, I think that he could probably play anything as long as it's got like a weird, creepy edge to it.
As long
They could literally
as
have
it's
him play
Christian-
Nick Fury as the white comic book 80s Nick Fury. Just put a
I think he plays the
Scenes
same
there.
person every time.
I
Really
don't know if you've
grown-up
seen him in
John
enough stuff.
Connor.
You said you haven't even seen him in a movie where he uses his natural accent,
That's
which is a lot of
true.
movies.
All right, we fast forward 2 years. He's got Shaft has a new crew with Michelle Williams and the two corrupt cops and the guy
Michelle
from-
Williams from Destiny's Child.
I think he means Vanessa Williams.
Vanessa Williams. Sorry, I
As long
wrote
as
her
you didn't say
some-
Venus or Serena, I'm good.
Oh, Jesus.
the four Williams sisters.
The four Williams sisters, yeah.
That was like John Singleton was going to make a sequel to Four Brothers called Four Sisters and cast all the Williams sisters to be in it.
So they're busting up an apartment drug situation. This is where I made a note that I don't know if you guys watched the Secret Invasion TV show, but he looks exactly like he looks in that with the little beanie on his head. They bust in. Thank you. They bust in and get everybody. Don't make me chase you. You're gonna piss me off. And then he has a classic, what I think would be a classic Shaft chase through buildings. I like when he yells "disperse, motherfuckers." That was fun.
I like
And
when
the
he says,
awesome-
"Throw something again, throw something again," because that's like him saying, "Say what again? Say what again?"
Yeah.
From he does it a lot in this movie. There's a lot of Pulp Fiction retread of like things that he said in Pulp Fiction, but he's saying them in this. I'm like, why? It's like in Independence Day where they get Ian Malcolm to say must go faster in a way, and like only a couple years after Jurassic Park, you're like, maybe don't make him
literally
say that.
3 years later.
Yeah.
So I did like the stunt here where the guy that he's chasing jumps from one window to another. I thought that was shot well. It looked cool.
I think the Matrix
That's-
did it better.
That's the
Well,
main-
it's such a New York
that's-
thing. Like
yeah.
the buildings are so close together, and the way that those the fire escapes and shafts and like air shafts that are in the middle, like you can't get that kind of shot in another city. I think like
So many shafts and Shaft. Yeah, I think
Shaft.
Yeah, Shaft. See, I don't have
know.
the sound clip of Shaft. I didn't think to do that. I only thought to do shut your mouth and
Idiot.
I'm stupid. My main thought is like, how easy is it to break through an old window like that, and not just one
Not-
but two?
Really old windows, storm windows, are very difficult to break through. Those are some
Yeah.
shit windows. Like,
Why was he covered head to toe in glass and become some sort of monster man?
it's a movie, guys.
Well, figure
Well,
out.
he
the-
should have ran through some
question.
toxic waste first, so that when he went through the
Yeah.
windows, he became
Yeah.
Glass Man on the other side.
The moment I liked about that is when Shaft looks down the shaft and is like
Well, he's
couldn't
all
even fallen
dejected.
down that.
He
He's
doesn't
like,
even
Shaft
rush-
isn't going down that shaft. Not today.
He doesn't
Shaft."
even rush down the stairs to go cut the guy off. He's like, okay, I know where he's
He
going.
teleports. He turns into Jason
Yeah.
Voorhees and somehow gets to the other side of the road faster.
He's actually a scroll that
Right.
He's a scroll. Yeah. Do you remember the line he says when he cuts the guy off? Because it made no sense.
April
to me.
Fool's motherfucker or something like that.
I was like, what day is it? April Fool's Day today? Sure. Like
Yeah.
I was like, must be. Is it before noon? Sure.
If it was exactly 2 years later, wouldn't it be Christmas? Shouldn't he have said Merry Christmas, motherfucker? But I guess
That would
not.
have been great.
No, they
Um,
didn't say exactly 2 years later.
I know. I know. I'm just saying it's April. I guess is it April? Is it actually April Fool's? Is it close to
It's a
April Fool's?
really weird thing to drop in.
He could have said any other holiday and it would have been the exact same result. You know, like Happy
Or-
Arbor Day, motherfucker.
No, that would have been hilarious. So
Yeah.
not the same result.
That would have been great. Excellent rating. This is also the next part is the great scene where the drug boss is watching on from the window and is taunting Shaft. So Shaft gets a basketball and everybody's like, "Don't do it, Shaft." That's what the movie should be called. Don't do it, Shaft. And he whips that basketball with the force of 1,000 suns. And the guy, Peoples is eating some delicious pasta or something. He spills it all over himself.
For some reason, I
Takeout.
just assumed it was like Chinese takeout.
Chinese
food.
food, yeah.
Yeah.
It did make me immediately be like, I want some sort of like Shanghai noodles or something. But as it hit him, it's such a good hit too because he directly hits the fast food container and it just like
And the whole so I feel that I really hate basketball, and the only reason I hate basketball is because some little loser kid, when I was a little loser kid, threw a basketball at my head in gym in kindergarten, and I was like, I'm out. This game sucks
You have so
because
much
getting
trauma
hit
related
in the
to
head
I don't do
with
sports
a
now.
basketball.
That.
It's very different. Like baseball, like nothing can compare quite to getting hit in the head with a baskotball because of the rubbery, the size, so like I was like, yeah, that sucks.
I got hit in the face with a baseball once when I was a kid, and I
Not as bad. It's very like concentrated pain. Like, sorry, I've
A
been
lot
hitting
of
head.
blood.
No,
All kinds of
changed them.
balls.
So many
It changed
balls.
the chemical makeup of Steve's brain.
Yeah.
Anyway, they pinch peoples for a myriad of charges, including assaulting an officer for merely touching Shaft,
He pokes him.
and they find an ice pick on him, which is the world's first Schrodinger's ice pick, I suppose.
Schrodinger.
Not Schrodinger.
Chekhov?
Chekhov smoking
Chekhov.
ice pick.
Yeah. Sorry, Schrodinger.
Schrodinger's ice pick.
Still in
It's
his
there, but
catalog.
it's not.
In there.
But,
No one will ever know.
no one will ever know. But then I realized that, oh yeah, this is kind of propaganda because of all of the like rah cops are going to save the day. But also, what you learn through the movie is that Shaft like only does it because he ultimately just wants to deliver justice to the people. He doesn't like being a cop, I don't think. So as I watch this film, I sort of change on the propaganda-ness of it all.
I thought that it was to give a foil to Shaft, who is a private detective. So you're kind of giving this new character a different, like, it would be, I don't want to say a legitimacy, but putting him in that seat. So to have him rebel against that Shaft thing, because then he gets to rebel against that, and like you get a little bit more character progression instead of just having a copy of 71 Shaft. Like, actually, it felt like the natural thing to do. Like, it wasn't the creative thing to do, but it felt like the natural thing to do.
Yeah, but it also builds up sort of like a backstory of his relationship with the neighborhoods that he's inside of, as well as the people that he's going to be calling in favors for, and also the people that he has to interact with within those sort of like criminal systems, right? Like, it is a good way to just have that naturally built in without you having to explain anything at all.
Yeah.
It's like he was a cop, so he had to interact with these people a bunch.
It explains his relationship with Shaft, Uncle Shaft, 71, and then it explains like the relationship between the community and the cops and the corrupt cops, and it's very simple, but I like it works.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like I like it, but it works. It doesn't feel like propaganda.
I agree. I think that, there's in any movie dealing with police officers, there's going to be sort of some sort of layer of propaganda-ness to it, but this doesn't really feel like it's in that category, to me at least.
In the hands of a different director or writer,
Most definitely,
yeah.
Fully like he's like, I love being a police officer. No, I think the whole point of Shaft.
I love the law.
Used to be a good cop. Now you're above the law.
It also doesn't shy away from just showing like the absolute corruption within police foundations. Like
true.
It is really comical though.
Of course,
it's like cops, bad guy.
Yeah, but I mean, there's that part where he's beating up that sort of like street corner like thug, I guess, like the guy who's like fucking with that woman's son. I think his name's Malik. She's like, that little motherfucker over there, Malik. Go beat the shit out of him for me. Like, and then like the police officers drive by, and Shaft just kind of gives them a wink and a nod, and they drive off. They're like, "Yep."
Why would they ever have a problem with police brutality?
Yeah, they're like, no, he's a cop.
They wouldn't. Exactly. Like the cops are like, police brutality, but it's not us.
We love it.
Good job. We don't have to do the paperwork for that, and I'm in.
Yeah. So there is sort of like a balancing act that the movie's doing, even though it really doesn't need to.
Well, the next thing we see, though, is they go back to the precinct, and Luger, played by the guy from Oz, is a little bit racist, and Shaft does not care for that, and they have a bit of a fight. And what I realized...
right, Oz. I was like, who? That guy. But yeah, I watched Oz a long time ago, and it scared the shit out of me, so I didn't really finish it. There's too much stuff going on in that. It scared me. Maybe he's scared to go to jail.
This character takes a shit on J.K. Simmons' face. So anyway, and bites his dick a little bit too, I think. So anyway, he gets a call and runs to check, and
what a
he
great
calls
show Oz was.
Yeah. Somebody else bit his dick. He gets a call and runs to check it out, and calls up Busta Rhymes to help out. I wrote that the setting and the vibe and a lot of the coloring of scenes and cinematography, especially during this segment, remind me of Bad Boys, this goes to what you guys were saying about movies sort of changing. I think Bad Boys plays a large part of that too, because it sort of adds this stylized vision to cop movies. I know that was 96.
I think that the reason you're saying this is because it's shot at sunset and Michael Bay just puts his entire movies at sunset.
Everything is at sunset. Yeah, no, I was just thinking that actually as you said that, which is fun. And then I wrote, I wouldn't be surprised if after Bad Boys someone said, what if we made Shaft, but it was like the same as that Bad Boys movie? I don't know if I agree with that after watching the rest of
also visually Bad Boys 1 and Bad Boys 2 are drastically different than one another in terms of like the color correction and everything.
This and the set,
but also Shaft Boys is another movie that I've seen that I don't think either of you guys have seen.
I don't think I've seen Shaft. I might have seen Shaft Girls.
What's that about?
Yeah. I don't really remember what the story's about, but me oh
goodness.
Sorry, I'm just gonna tune out while we talk about Michael Bay.
So I'm over that. Busta Rhymes is there to basically assist with.
I thought you love The Rock. Isn't that like your favorite fucking movie of all time?
Okay, The Rock is the only good Michael Bay movie.
We have to escape from The Rock.
I'm trapped on this rock. How do I get?
They're bringing The Rock back in real life. Donald Trump saying, "Hey." The funny part about that is it wasn't even because of The Rock. It was from some movie from the 70s that was on at Mar-a-Lago. And he was like, what if we bring back Alcatraz? Anyway, that's a story for another day. The call was for Wade. Shaft basically is like, we got the call. We know where Wade is. He's back in the country. Busta Rhymes, you got to come help me. We have to assault a civilian and steal his limo. And Shaft gets Wade in the car, basically is like, put these on, the handcuffs, and Busta's the driver. They kidnap the driver. And so he's been gone for 2 years avoiding arrest post bail. And the precinct is stoked that they got Wade, but says he'll be out in 5 minutes. However, the booker isn't there. So he's basically trapped there till at least the next day. But did I read this wrong? Did they say that like also it's Friday, so you're here all weekend? Or was it just that one night?
I mean, they wanted to make sure that he stayed overnight. Are you talking about Peoples Hernandez?
Well, Peoples was already in prison from before. This is the part where Wade gets thrown in with Peoples for the first time.
I looked at my phone during this.
Right, yeah. So
okay.
They say
I don't remember.
When they put Peoples in there, they want to make sure that Peoples is left for a long time. So they say, if the van shows up, make sure Peoples gets the one with the broken belt, because I guess they're like, our technology is shitty.
Yeah, for Wade, that already happened.
I know. I'm getting to that. I'm not done talking. So he's being essentially that's where they establish the answer to your question, which is yes, he's going to be there all weekend. So that means that Wade, when he gets put in there, is ultimately going to be there all weekend as well. And it's just the two of them when they first get put in there, and it slowly fills up, right? So they go into the weekend crowd, the rough crowd gets put in there with them.
Well, if budget cuts for the NYPD, they can get anyone to.
Now we get some cuts back and forth here. So Peoples and Wade are going to team up, I think, at this point in the movie. I'm still not remembering like what happens. I think I just wrote that down. Anyway, original Shaft and his girlfriend over to like a bar. His Shaft's girlfriend played.
Jason, this is back when even really stupid movies had more complex villains than Marvel movies do now.
Yeah.
So sorry, when they're in the prison cell together, Patrick Bateman and Jeffrey Wright have like a fight. Like it's incited by him being someone else coming up to Patrick Bateman and said, give me my shoes. And then he's like,
getting to that. That's like the next scene, because this goes back and forth here. Where original Shaft is
his retirement party and them in jail, going back and forth. It's like cutting back and forth thing.
So the woman that is Shaft's girlfriend is Kima from The Wire. Wade in prison. He gets into it with a guy over his shoes, but he gets the upper hand by punching him in the lower.
Give me your shoes. They wouldn't fit you. All right.
That was actually a pretty good one sentence. That move is very like they wouldn't fit you. It's very Christian Bale. Shaft hits on a woman. Lawrence Taylor is in this movie, the football player. And I wrote that he
The
looks
guy with
like
the lightning earring.
yeah, in the red suit.
Yeah.
He looks like a Goomba from the Mario movie.
nickname as a football player like the Flash or something? I was like,
No,
why
it
is
was
he?
the-
He's got a red suit and a lightning bolt earring. Did they call him the Flash or something? Is that like his staple?
What was Lawrence Taylor's nickname? It was LT.
What does LT stands for? Oh, that's his nick. That's
Lawrence
his
Taylor,
initials.
yeah.
Okay, that's not a
Uh,
nickname.
Interesting note about Lawrence Taylor is he wrestled Bam Bam Bigelow in the main event of I think WrestleMania 8 or 10, and Chuck Norris shows up during that as well. A little bit of trivia for you, but
Chuck Norris.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! But Shaft hits on a woman. The ruse is though.
This is one of those
Ruse
moments
is for
where
a
like
party.
it's a surprise party in the back. He hits on this woman and then she keeps saying like, you better stop hitting on me because you're gonna piss off my boyfriend. And he's like, I forget where you hide your piece or whatever. And she's like, don't tell me you forgot already. And I'm like, where does she hide it? Like in her fucking vagina? Like where do you mean? Did you forget already? Like it's such a weird thing to ask. And then he pretends to get into a fight with Shaft, throws him into the other room, and then they're like, and I'm like, but he was still just fully hitting on your girlfriend. It's like
And also, there's a pattern of this because like you're always hitting on my girl when I walk up.
yeah, every
We're
single
just
time.
talking.
I'm not hitting on her. I was just
It
asking.
reminds me of
secret
those
gun.
Speedy Gonzalez cartoons where he's like, yeah, I know Speedy. He goes steady with my sister. And then the other guy is like, Speedy goes steady with everybody's sister.
Oh my god. Shaft and Speedy are
All
not
Warner
good
Brothers.
friends. Yeah.
This is stuck in my brain for some reason. Can't remember anything else, but bullshit like that.
From the Speedy Gonzalez and Pepe Le Pew era of Warner Brothers 90s weirdness.
Oh,
but,
no, this is old.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
also
go on.
weird.
This is the like 50s.
Their fucking
Oh, yeah.
skunk cartoon character that was basically a rapist. Like that's not a great thing to keep going.
But I
Is
give
he
you
still
the
around?
eck of love.
Is he still around and now he's like had to go to like sensitivity training or something like on the Warner Brothers a lot? He's like, I don't do that anymore.
I wish I cared enough to know.
I wonder if Speedy Gonzalez still has a.
He was very well received by Mexicans, according to
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
Yeah,
so-
that's one of those things. I've also seen a lot of like interviews with people being like, no, we actually kind of liked him. Like he was good.
That was good representation, I guess.
He went steady with everybody's sister.
Yeah, apparently,
Yeah.
yeah. But then he had
fact
like a
we
weird
know.
cousin who was like a very like weird other type of stereotype where he was like super slow. Like he seemed like he was high all the time. He was like, ugh. You remember that guy? No.
I do.
Okay. I can't remember what his name was. But he was like a
I don't
sleepy-
either.
sleepy
Slowpoke
high guy.
Gonzalez. I don't.
Yeah, I think it was something
Jonathan
like
Mexico.
Slowpoke. Sounds
So
right.
then we go over to Peoples, who's talking to Wade. They kind of compare crime notes a little bit. And then back over to the party where Shaft discussed why Wade would even come back. And there was a shot that they show, it's like on the news, of Sam Jackson in the limo looking out the window. And I thought it was so unintentionally funny for some reason. I just thought
Because
it
it's
was
like
a
a
really-
weird low angle, and he's also doing a low angle with his
Yeah, and he's like-
pointing his head downward and looking up. It's very weird. It's very weird, and the lighting is so kind of like spot lit, so you're getting all these weird shadows on Sam Jackson's face that you don't
like
regularly get.
flashes from a camera, which you don't really see.
But
now.
also, just the lighting is like clearly like a big spotlight, just casting shadows in a weird way on Sam Jackson's face that you don't necessarily see in other movies ever because it's an unflattering angle. And like Sam Jackson does seem like one of those people that you can kind of make him look good from no matter any angle you're at, but like they found the one unflattering angle on him for that one shot, or like let's make him look weird.
So Shaft actually hits on another woman, or maybe it was the same woman, Sonia Sohn.
No, that's the
and-
bartender. She is not the same woman that he hits on when he first gets to the bar, but she is the woman
Right,
that makes
okay.
out with him hard when he arrives at the bar.
Yeah. He also,
two old
he
men are
also,
like, holy fuck, what a lucky man.
he
Well,
also
as they're
delivers the
playing
line, the best line in the whole movie. It's my duty to please that booty. And
That's
I was
how
for sure.
That's how I got my partner. Said that line.
And-
It
and I was
worked.
for sure
It worked for me.
I was for sure saying that as a 15-year-old, which is so fucking funny.
I
Just
can't
walking
not
around.
think of that line anytime I hear the word duty or booty separately. That entire line will pop into my head.
Was his name
Slowpoke,
Slowpoke? Yeah, it
I
must have
guess.
been.
I mean, we
Which is
trust him.
Slowpoke Rodriguez then and Speedy Gonzalez?
That's what I call Robert Rodriguez because he's taken forever to come up with that new movie.
One
He
guy
was
was
working
on
on Star Wars
speed
for
and
a
one
while.
guy was on fucking weed. It's old speed and weed.
Speed and weed. It's a horrible combo.
Yeah.
They're both in this movie now.
I've done combinations of those things, and it's
I've done
they kind of
neither.
level each. They kind of level each other. Okay.
No drug talk.
So
They know drugs.
back in the courts, Buster Rhymes has a little freak out and gets kicked out as they set bail for Wade for $1 million and freezes.
Which is much more than the last one, but it doesn't seem to bother his dad, who has that shit-eating grin on his face. Who's like, he looks
Yeah.
like sort of like Walt Disney, kind of the dad.
They just it seems like they kind of model him to look like a Walt Disney type. Like it's sort of like a classically rich white man.
I thought that was his lawyer,
old.
so I
No,
don't.
it's his dad. Because like later when they're in the house,
No,
he's
no, I
like-
believe you. I'm just like,
he's sipping the tea and he's like, Walter, come back, Walter.
with the stepmom on his
Yeah.
lap.
Who looks like the same age as Patrick Bateman, basically.
And then
So much
Shaft
said
uses-
with so little. It's just a heavy implication. Just her age and her sitting on his lap and wearing the mother's jewelry. It's all very,
Is
you
he
don't
like a
need-
Donald Trump, like New York real estate?
I don't think they really get into what he is, but I think it's supposed to be real estate, right? Like I think that's kind of
Yeah, I was kind of like, I think I know who you're kind of referring to, type person.
when Shaft hears the $1 million bail, which is like nothing to these people, clearly, he throwing stars his badge at
the wall.
at the judge, and it hits him right next to his head.
I gotta
Which is
shave those
insane.
down. Those seem dangerous.
Too sharp. Which I don't know if you guys realize is my favorite sequence in the movie.
That's why I put it as the transition in the video at the beginning of the episode. It's such a fun thing. Like such a fun
You know how hard you would have to. I wish MythBusters was still a thing, so that like they could do this
Could
to
you
see
do
like
this?
how hard you would have to throw it on what kind of
Mythbusters was
wall.
on 19 times a day in the year 2000. So I wonder if they ever tried this.
Let's
Probably
call him
not.
up. Does anybody have their
Call up
number?
Call
got
up Jamie
I only have
Heineman.
Jamie-
and
I've got Jamie Heineman.
I don't
Hello.
think that would be a good use of our time.
Yes, I can make a robot arm that can do that in 5 minutes.
Yeah, but Wade goes free. Shaft pulls his gun like he's going to do something, which is kind of a foreshadow, and then he just hands it to his commanding officer person. The what are they called? What's it called when you're the guy or woman who owns the police station? Is that what that is? No. So he goes and has a conversation with Dad Shaft, which is what I wrote. I guess it's his uncle's. We found
Captain? Is that what you're looking for?
Captain. I was looking for the word captain. Thank you. Goes and talks to Dad Shaft. Shaft is just going to murder him. He's just going to go murder Wade. That's his plan. And Dad Shaft is like, good idea. We're above the law in this family.
No, he doesn't say that. He says, "Don't do that. That's a bad idea. Let me put my people on it, and we'll get back to you. We'll see if we can dig up some information on this motherfucker." And then he's like, "No," and then the Shaft music starts playing again. He rips off his ankle gun, and then he throws it away, and he holsters it. But like he walks away, but he like throws his ankle holster. I'm like, that thing was like made of leather. It was probably cost him like $50 or maybe more. Why you just and it's littering? Somebody needs to sit Shaft down. and
Somebody will find that, and it'll be used very criminally.
just like all crimes.
Why don't you? I have to step away for 2 seconds. Why don't you talk about how Wade discusses Diane and how she's missing, and how he could get back to Switzerland, but him and his dad have a conversation about the situation. I'll be right back.
Well, this is just to like really underline the evil privileged family. You know, like they're there's nothing good about them. Even within their own ranks, there's turmoil and disgust, and they all hate each other, but they love each other, but they also hate each other. And
Well, the lawyers, I honestly can't remember what the hell the lawyer was saying, but it was like just like ugh, icks. But the part I was talking about before, the stepmother sitting on the dad's lap, because they have this conversation that's the kind of conversation that you expect it to be like, don't worry, we'll get you off, blah blah blah. Don't worry about Diane. Like, she doesn't want to be found. We can't find her. Like, they seem to think that it really won't matter.
Yeah.
Like, that is like you're worrying about something that you don't need to worry about.
Yeah.
And then kinda actually, like,
yeah, to be fair, it's like
you were like
seems
kind
to
of
have
just let it go.
disappeared. Yeah, like and like you literally confessed to the cops that you did this, and they have both times given you bail. So I think maybe we'll be fine. And
Yeah.
he's really concerned about her because he knows that she saw literally everything and could potentially bust him. But I
That's
don't
the
have any.
one thing with this movie is that nothing in it actually ends up mattering and wouldn't have. There's like very few ways that you could cut this movie's like ending to have any of it matter.
There's
But,
also
like,
moments in this movie where Shaft could have just straight up killed Patrick Bateman in an alley and he would be dead, and then the story would be all completed. You know, like
they're all working towards something anyway. So it would have been unnecessary to find Diane. The dad's not concerned. The lawyer's kind of not concerned about it. And then we find out that his mom's choker is on the like Ivana character, like the trophy wife that his dad has. And he's like, no, that's a, and the dad kind of like, and then Christian Bale goes to his mom's room and grabs all of her jewelry. And I was just like, just take the whole box.
And
like,
I guess
as he's
we're
like
to assume that I agree with you, but I think we're to assume
fumbling
that,
with it
well,
and
I
not
think he's
putting it
like,
in a bag. I would like, don't put it, he didn't put it in a shirt. He's just like moving it from one hand to another. And I'm like, just put it in something. Sorry. Like that
he's also,
I have a
annoyed me
question
so
about
much.
that quickly. I have a quick question. I
also
missed this. Just sorry. I just want to ask you this because I missed something. Does the dad say you're cut off? No more money?
No.
Okay. Carry on.
The opposite. He's like, we'll take care of everything. And Walter freaks out because his dad has got a girlfriend or whatever. And I guess we're to assume that the mom is dead, or like maybe she's
in a golf course somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like dead because like otherwise the mom would have probably taken the jewelry with her if she was like, you know, divorced or something, right? Unless it was heirlooms or whatever.
Unless she was left with nothing because her name wasn't on anything. It's like that girl at the beginning of the Sex and the City movie who blah blah blah. So
but I mean, there's a feeling, a vibe about it
his
that makes
mom, and his mom is clearly not important at all to his dad, and so he's deeply insulted by what seems like repeat behavior from his father of not giving an absolute fuck about his mother.
Which is what I'm getting at, which is I'm like, that is the implication that the mom is dead to me, because he also doesn't talk about his mom in any way like she could potentially help her. And we don't want to give this guy any more humanity than he deserves. So we'll be like, yeah, he's a little boy without a mommy, and that's all we get. And that's all we really need.
It's like,
And also,
like,
I will say that the thing that bugged you about him going through the jewelry boxes and not just shoving everything in his underwear or whatever, that bugged me as well. But it almost seems like he's self-appraising things, where he's like, this isn't even worth putting in my pocket. This isn't even worth, this is fake. I don't need this. But because he's taking very specific
And then he
things.
knew exactly how much everything was worth. He was like,
Or like at least a ballpark, right? Like he's like, I can probably get something for this.
You can do that by looking at it and having another thing that you're putting into and being like, okay, no, yes, no, yes. You don't have to be like,
well, he's scared. He's scared he's gonna get caught with a jewelry
he's
fairy or whatever.
He's going fast.
Grenade.
I think that in the comical nature of this film, I know that wasn't meant to be funny, but like the caricature nature of this film is that he's like all in a tizzy. I want to
Like
hear
your
what the
dad-
direction there was.
your dad is not worried. He's got the new like mom on his lap. No one's coming in following you. The lawyer doesn't care. Nobody cares what you're doing right now.
Yeah. They're also like, he's not concerned about the jewelry being tracked or anything, so, which also implies that like either the new mom doesn't know about this jewelry, doesn't care about it, or Walter Sr. is probably like, who gives a fuck? Like he took it, he needs it to leave it there because he's still got like a crazy apartment and stuff. It's not like he's living in the streets. There's lots of indication that he still has access to the things that he needs, other than the fact that he gets mugged.
So we've now dived way too deep into this, but I'm gonna go deeper.
No.
What I felt. All right, I don't have to talk about it.
No. That was like you're diving deep.
So diving deeper into it, it didn't seem like she had access to the entire jewelry collection. In fact, it felt like the mom still had a room with the jewelry in it because it was like, oh, is that mom's choker? As in, like, this is if she had just access to the whole collection, then she would probably just be wearing things all the time, and he wouldn't have asked his dad, like, why did you give mom's choker?
But it was also he needed money off the books, is what I'm realizing. He needed to get quick cash off the books. He couldn't just be like, I'm taking $40,000 to eliminate a waitress, Dad. Even though from how comically evil the dad is, he'd probably be like, good work, son. We have to eliminate all of our enemies with extreme prejudice.
Well, I think it's just movie shorthand. This is like a talented director giving us, he needs money. He's got like, we can turn these items into money at any point that suits us later on in the movie.
Yeah, it's like, and it also that money is a major plot point of the movie going forward.
Right. Yeah.
Which means that they should have put more effort into having him really do a better job of taking the money. No, but it's like I guess like if you wanted to be okay with it, it's like some loser asshole kid going through his mom's jewelry that he was just mad about that the new wife is wearing, and he's just going to sell it in order to murder another woman. Like there's
Well, Shaft is Shafton. He goes to what town do they keep going to that's by the water and all the houses are...
It's Montauk. No, I don't know where it is. I don't know what it is.
For the life...
Hoboken. It's
like literally...
Fish docks. Who knows?
The reason I ask that is because I've been inundated in my life with media, New York media. Like what Central Park looks like, what the Bronx looks like, what like the financial district looks like. But this little area seems to be like maybe
Weehawken, like
Hoboken. That's in Connecticut, I think. But anyway, it's like a little seaside fisher town where people seem to live, and that's where
Flushing
is a rich part of town, if I know anything from watching.
Yeah, this is toilet New York.
Toilet town, USA, and off the coast of Manhattan.
But when does this movie take place? I didn't find any like year markers that could happen in the span of like 10 to 20.
It seems like it's probably just meant to take place in the years around the years it came out, at least within 2 years.
It's pretty vague, though.
Yeah.
Nobody really has cell phones, though. Is there a significant
That's what I mean.
cell phone moment?
Someone throws a pager, but it's a drug pager, so they would still be using pagers anyway. So that's not like a.
There's a whole moment where Busta Rhymes has to be like, "Yo, the guys in the car next to you stole the money," and Shaft is like, "Tell them exactly what I told you." And it's a nice sort of like metallic looking Nokia flip phone. It's not like
laser.
It wasn't one of those like big ass brick phones.
Short answer: I have no idea, but we know it's not the Bronx because she said she lives in the Bronx.
You can probably see the Twin Towers in this movie if you look hard enough. So he goes to see Vanessa Williams. Did I get Michelle Williams? Vanessa Williams. I wrote it down correctly for some help. Then the woman from the restaurant who isn't Diane, the other waiter, she says she wants Shaft to deal with Malik, the corner drug dealer, and then deals with him handily by beating the ever-living fuck out of him.
And he knows who Shaft is. Like, Like I felt like he knew, right? Like he says it.
Well, he says, "Say my name," and he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Say my name," and he's like, or he says, "What's my name?" And he goes, "I don't know." And he's like, "John Shaft," and he's like, "John Shaft, John Shaft," and then he's like, "Say my name again," and he's like, "I forgot." He's like, "Say
Okay,
it."
well,
John Shaft.
I kind of felt like Shaft had a reputation amongst. Is
Yeah, I
kind of
think you
what
can
I
you
thought.
can read this scene either way, where even if this guy doesn't actually know who Shaft is, at the moment that he's pistol whipping the fuck out of him, he will never forget who John Shaft is after this moment, at the very least, you know?
Yeah, it's because
Correct.
the whole thing is like the other waitress wants to be like, you know, I know where my friend Diane is. My kid who's 12, which is insane, but you know, if you watch a lot of crime drama, drug dealers always target you when you're in middle school. He's already been doing jobs for him. It's very Bronx Tale. And he ends up we end up finding out that this Malik guy has his like drug crew, and he beats the ever living piss out of him, and basically saves this 12-year-old who doesn't exist in the movie, just is talked about, from becoming a crime lord, because that's how every crime drama goes. I filled it. I used my power of seeing a million crime dramas to really see this kid's life before John Shaft comes and saves the day.
John Shaft.
John Shaft. But then we also see a shot of Diane like helping out kids at like a basketball.
Yeah, this is one of those moments where I was like asking myself too many questions. I'm like, is she a teacher now, or is she just like what is she doing? Is she volunteering?
Maybe she's helping out the 12-year-old. Maybe the 12-year-old was on screen during
John
this.
Shaft.
And
yeah, he was at the basketball court right there.
so he tracks her down to that basketball court, and they have a chase, and she gets in a car and peels out. And it's one of the best moments in this movie, I think, is her speeding off and like hitting cars on the way out, and then a car who's now spinning and careening out of control stops like right 1 foot away from him. You know, created a little bit of
says, "Get the fuck out of the road, you crackhead!" Very good GTA dialogue. You know,
I can't figure out where it is, so give up.
Oh, the town. I think it's just supposed to be sort of like any town near any river around that area, because like it doesn't really matter, right? But we know that like the mom is. They've all got pretty heavy accents, and then even Busta Rhymes later is like
Queens. It's got to be Queens.
I mean, it doesn't gotta be anything. It can be nothing even. He's like, "Hey, yo, big man, what are you doing over there? Come on over here. We got some work to do over there." And he's like, "Yeah, man.
My favorite characters were the two brothers.
Mikey and Tony."
We'll get them. We'll get to them eventually.
Mikey.
I'm
Tony!
looking at a map of New York, and it's could be Brooklyn Heights, Dumbo, Williamsburg, Greenpoint, Astoria, or it could be College Point. It could be Corona. There's a lot of places by the water. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you have the Hudson River, and then you have like so. There's a lot. Yes, there's a lot of water on that island.
You know, in Toronto, when you're at the island, you can see Toronto. I felt like where this little area was, you could see Manhattan. So it's got to be somewhere on the other side of the Hudson River.
I just like all the scenes shot there because it feels like it's very early morning in like the fall or something.
The East River, that's the other one.
Yeah, it just had like a vibe to it. And then you could see their breath there. You're like, this is like probably around like 7 a.m. in the spring or fall, and it has that crispness to it. And like the lighting is all natural. It just feels there's something about it that felt comfy to me. It reminded me of like going back to school when you're a kid. I liked back to school time when I was a kid. I don't know if you guys liked it or not.
I did as well. I liked it. I still like that. I still like that to this day because you can almost smell the smell of a school in the air along with that crispness.
Yeah, I think maybe you're just associating the smell of the crispness with the school. I don't know if you're smelling the school. You're like, ooh, industrial cleaning supplies and sawdust.
Sawdust. Just clean up the puke, of course.
All the blood.
There's something romantic about the first days of school and the crisp of fall.
Yeah. Except now it's like it's fucking 40 degrees until
It's still
September 30th, and then it drops to winter immediately in October.
Or then like this year where it's like we had a regular progression of the seasons for some reason.
We don't
Figure
talk
that
about it
one
if
out.
it's regular. We only talk about it if it's irregular.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
can push our climate change agenda.
Well, 4 snows in April is a little unusual. As someone who professionally tracks snow in April,
You professionally track it?
no, but I do have a side like hobby of making sure I track all of the snow in April in Toronto, and 4 is a little unusual. So, 4 like primary snowfalls, not like early morning snowfalls that happen a lot more regularly, but putting that together on a slide on Instagram to try and tell people that they're stupid is really complicated. So I only ever really count the ones that are like sustained snow throughout the day or
But,
for
like,
a chunk of.
It's a crapshoot in Canada now, especially in southern Ontario, between December and May, December and late April. Could go either way.
Well, this is a polar
false-
vortex year, so that's why we had.
Is that why we were so cold? Okay.
And we were stuck in an El Nino. No, yeah.
El Nino.
Sorry, one of those two. The
El
years
Nino
that
is
it was
the
super
warm
hot.
front, and El Nino is a cold front, as far as I know. What was that reaction?
I heard something over there.
Oh, you're haunted. So anyway, Wade goes into the ghetto. Meanwhile, Shaft goes back to find Diane and has Leon watching. Leon is his one of his other pals. He wants to get into the police academy. Shaft was like, why do you want to join the police force? And he delivers the line. He asks, who delivers 10 times out of 10, which I thought was from the song, but it's not. But the way that he says, who delivers 10 times out of 10? And I was like, is that in the song? So I looked it up. But this, can you dig it? But this is the moment that Steve loves with the you want the milk scene. So you can probably explain this much better than I can. Steve!
What? You want me to explain this 2-second
Steve is the
moment?
man.
It's like a fat joke, basically. It's kind of offensive. It didn't age very well, but like
it aged like milk.
It aged like milk. Yeah, a whole bunch of milk.
All right, guys, I'm out. It was great.
This has been this week's episode. Thank you, everybody.
So in the ending credits of the video that we play at the beginning of this month for each episode, I go through and I pick like the most memorable line from each movie and associate it in the video in some way. So for this movie, this is the one that me and my friend quote all the time. Anytime we talk about milk, we'll be like, "You got milk? I got milk. I got a whole bunch of milk," and it's just funny. The delivery of it is funny. The charming nature between the two of them is funny. It's just one of those lines that's stuck in my head forever. I don't think it's like the best scene in the movie. It's just a funny scene. I think it's cute and I like it.
Yes, and I feel like, and I think based on Jeffrey Wright's performance as Peoples and also this scene here, there feels like there's an element of improv almost. And the way that Sam Jackson delivers "Got Milk" almost felt a little bit like they were just kind of riffing.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. I think that also like this movie in its totality has way more quotable moments than this moment, but this is just the one that me and him for some reason latched onto as kids.
That "Got Milk" thing was at the height of popularity at this time. Like the posters, the commercials.
If
like
there's anything that dates this movie, it's that line. Got milk.
They should have been like, "What is that?"
That would have been the only. But yeah, I remember like around this time, like those posters were everywhere. Even like Toronto Maple Leafs are dressing up like cows and jumping around.
Literal
and doing
cardboard
Got Milk
cutouts
stuff.
at grocery stores. I remember too. Like,
It is wild though to think that this man is sitting in his car just drinking a full carton of milk.
just annihilating 24 donuts. In the foreground, the stack of donuts is wild.
And then later when they go peeking the car on him and he's like, "Ha ha!" He has like the biggest fucking gun you've ever seen. He's still got the milk and donuts in there too. Wearing a bucket hat. Well, I like that character. I don't remember his name, but I do.
I really want to get
Leon.
Rory a bucket hat that has the holes for her 2 ears. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
A bucket hat on a dog? never a bad idea.
No.
I think you could just buy a regular one and cut some little holes in it. No.
Like a baby bucket, of course.
Yeah, it'll probably be cheaper than
bucket.
buying one for specifically. For
I
a
get
baby.
all of her stuff at Children's IKEA. Like,
They're like, so how old is your baby? And you're like,
fuck you.
Oh man. So Peoples meets up with Wade. Wade, of course, needs Diane located and killed. He uses the jewels to pay. And then in that moment, in typical crime comedy caricature fashion, he comes up on the screen as a wanted man. And now Peoples becomes fixated on the fact that Christian Bale's character is a celebrity, which I thought was hilarious. He's like, he's a celebrity.
he's famous.
We're gonna-
People. The funniest thing about Peoples and his brother is that his brother has absolutely zero hint of an accent whatsoever. He's like, "Yo, Peoples, gonna keep this?" And
Can I keep
Peoples is
this?
like, "No, you look like a fucking dog hunter." Like he sounds like Scarface.
He sounds like Speedy Gonzalez, guys.
Yeah. He sounds
I
like
wasn't gonna do
Scarface
the
Gonzalez. Yeah.
Peoples Gonzalez, that's genius. Genius Gonzalez.
Oh, my
Genius Rodriguez and okay.
Scarface
Uh,
Hernandez.
But
Yeah.
he pops up on the screen and Peoples wants Wade to, because now that he knows that he's got sway in his community, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna give you this cocaine and you're gonna sell it to all your rich golf friends because
But
they all
I
love
also,
cocaine.
I think we're like discrediting this sequence a little bit because it has this tension to it that I think is really palpable. And then
Oh, yeah.
and then
Sorry,
it's
I
like,
just looked up Slowpoke Rodriguez. That is his name. I
Yeah.
forgot what he looked like.
yeah, he looks horrible, right?
Is he
Like
just
his nose-
stoned? I gotta see.
No.
Poor little.
he's got like a weird hot dog face. Like his nose is really long and bulgy.
Really cute.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a stereotype. I'm gonna save this and we're gonna look at him on the show right now.
Okay.
Oh,
Keep talking.
rat.
It's gonna take a
Well,
second.
I wanted to say that the sequence here where like he goes there, it is tension. And like I remember being actually kind of like nervous when I watched this as a kid because I was like, oh my God. See, I knew I shouldn't have kept talking. You literally interrupted me in the exact same spot twice.
Sorry.
Whatever, it was a tense scene. And you think that he's like, then the tension drips down a little bit because you think that he's now asking, you know, I just want to be where you are. I would kill to be you and have the opportunities that you have. I want you to take me everywhere you go. And, you know, even I am thinking like, what, he just wants to like take him to the club or whatever and like have him sit at the table with him. And it's like, no, I don't want you to take me literally. I want you to take my drugs with you. And they go into like a drug room and there's all the women in underwear, which is like, you know, it's it's already an R-rated movie. I don't know why they didn't just make them naked. Because like in reality, the reason they do that is so you don't steal, right? Like make you take your clothes off so you're not stealing shit. But they're still wearing like
I was
giant
today
bras and
years
things.
old when I found that out.
Well, RoboCop has a scene like that too, and they're also in bra and underwear, right?
I
Because
just
you
assume
can't
it's just
put that
movie
many
stuff.
tits in a scene and like have the rating not go up a tick. So if you're already riding the line on R, it'll go up to NC-17, which then limits what you can actually
But
have.
denying, like, I understand that there's no care for women whatsoever in this, like, trade, we'll say. Like, not movies, but also movies in Hollywood. But I'm talking about, like, the drug trade. Like, I'm not saying that. But denying a woman a bra would just, like, distract from her working. Like, that's just, like, or get, like, it's just not comfortable. So just, I wouldn't be
I
surprised
don't
if they
think
just
they
let
really
them have
give a
bras.
shit. They're more concerned with you stealing the fucking cocaine and heroin. That's the purpose of removing your clothes to begin with, right? That's why
Why
they
not
make
just
you do it.
But you shake out your bra at the end, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never run a drug kitchen or whatever, so I don't know like if they actually do
Look,
make them take
I want to
their
give I want to give some advice to all of the aspiring drug cutters out there. Just hide all the drugs up your nose, and then you'll be able
Just
to
do all the drugs.
Yeah. Leela is
You
dead.
can't shake your nose out.
I don't know why. Yeah.
I mean, they still have vaginas, so
Oh my god.
It's actually pronounced Virginia. So
Sorry.
Wade says, "No way,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that." And the tension has a great payoff here.
But it goes up
because
and down. That's the point that I wanted to
Exactly,
get to. Is
yeah.
that the tension of the scene goes up and down in a way where you're like, oh, now he's comfortable with him. Oh, now he's not. Now he is. And now even Wade is like poking it where you're like, oh my God. I don't know how I would handle this situation if I was in it.
And people storms out of that apartment. I'm like, why don't they just fucking disappear this guy?
So I, for one, am glad that even though it was an R-rated movie, that they didn't make some like part actors without even SAG cards because they don't have lines just sit there naked in the movie. So thank you to whoever decided to put underwear on them at least.
Right. Yeah. Also, I should be clear that I'm not like this movie is terribly unrealistic now. I hate that they didn't make them boobs out because I don't give a shit. But like
Notorious sexist Steven, shut your mouth, water.
all right. I think we all oh, okay. All right. More clothes, I say.
So Shaft is followed by Bubbles from The Wire, who is called Tattoo in this movie, I think. Like a gleam.
I think it's called Spider, isn't he?
Oh, is he?
They refer to him as Tattoo.
Okay. Who's Spider?
I don't know if I didn't catch what they called him. I could have rewound, but didn't. But they did call him Tattoo at several points. So you're not wrong, Jason.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who Spider was then. Maybe it was Tattoo and Spider. Maybe one person called him Tattoo, one person called him Spider. Or am I just like making Spider up completely? Doesn't someone?
I don't know.
Tattoo in the credits. So,
TATU.
He is Cornbread in this movie. What the fuck?
I assume Cornbread is that guy that gets called Cornbread over and over again at the beginning, and then he goes, "Yo, Shaft, like the way you handled that." And Shaft goes,
Sorry.
"Shut the fuck up."
Speaking of sexist and Steven, one of the things that I know you guys didn't pick up on, they used the F slur in Spanish several times.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have known because I don't speak Spanish. But I feel like I should know that word.
I didn't either, do I? But I was like, hey, I know that word.
Doesn't he call him a dirty F slur at some point later? Because he says sucio as well, right? And sucio means dirty, doesn't it? Am I wrong?
Does. No, you're right. I don't remember.
He calls him a. Yeah, I remember that. I'd be like, I think he just called him a dirty F slur.
They call them a variety of like swear words, but the only one that they really use, like the only major one that I picked up on was F slur.
I think I picked up on that one time, but I didn't pick up on it throughout, and I think it was because of the very specific usage. Where I was like, oh,
there was one at the beginning. There was one like it wasn't like constant, but it was.
The one I'm thinking of is like when he is yelling at the two cops after his brother gets killed, and he's like about to drive away. He calls.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that sounds like.
Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, so then he leaves, I guess, right? And then he gives them the jewelry back, and he's like, "Go turn this into money, and then we'll talk."
Right. Right. But he says, like, I gave you the 40K. This is where we stand. But the next scene was Shaft is being followed by Bubbles or Tattoo. Shaft questions him. It turns out that he's like he's Shaft's informant who's on the inside during all of this. And when the two corrupt cops roll up, they see like the back of his hand for a minute and they really focus on that. So obviously that's going to come up soon, I think. And the informant gets out of there. Then people tells the boys about the situation. The detectives are there in the room. This is that sequence I was talking about where it's like boom, 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 boom. Things are just happening one after another. And it turns out that these detectives are crooked, which was a little bit of a bait and switch even up to now, I think, because now it's revealed they're in the room with Peoples telling their side of the story. They tell Peoples about the hand tattoo informant, and then there's just a quick cut to him being tossed out a window.
And then DET. And he's been ice picked. And they threw him out with the ice pick so that the audience would know exactly how he died.
And then they show
hands.
Yeah, and then they show Peoples Hernandez looking out the window smiling and then running back in at an angle that makes it impossible to be the same building that he was just thrown out of. And I'm like, this is too much
audience confirmation, being like, "Did you get it yet, audience? Did you figure it
then-
out?"
But then
If
it's
you
like
wanna
the
be
same
in-
window he was sitting in when he got the basketball thrown at him.
Yeah. So if you want to be incognitus, I don't recommend covering your bright red hoodie with your hand tattoos. So like,
Yeah,
just
wear some
not
gloves.
recommended.
Or just put
Like,
your
if-
hoodie up and turn away and cross your hands. What are you, stupid? Have you never done this before, Spider Tattoo Man?
And you know he has.
What a
And he clearly doesn't want to be seen by those cops, and it's very, very tense. So it's not like they're just cops, but also if they're cops running that beat that he doesn't want to be seen by, why would you put your hand with the tattoos and a bright red? Like,
yeah. Also, don't wear a
He's doing
bright
this,
red
essentially.
hoodie if you're trying to stay incognito.
I did that to somebody because I could see their boobs exposed from their bra at the Indigo and was like, oh my God. And then she asked me if I was raised in a bar.
What?
Yeah. Tell you the
Just
story.
you?
Just me.
Whole
Oh
tits
my-
out.
Because told me not to buy the book that I was holding, first off. So it was unsolicited advice to begin with.
But her tits
Wow.
were out? In what way? I need to know more.
She wasn't.
Areola?
She was. I didn't want to look too.
Oh, that's why you did that.
I went like I.
You
like-
didn't go.
No, because when I see something like that, unlike the creeps that I see who are actively looking at people and their butts, I'm like, look at something else.
But I feel like doing the active avoiding is also kind of weird, but I also am just like uncomfortable about everything. So I just look
I
at
was
the
reacting, and I didn't go like, "Oh my God!" I just went like, "Ah!" Like I didn't do the TikTok thing, guys. I didn't go like,
So-
"Eee!"
Oh my goodness. The Shaft goes to Peoples. And their exchange here is funny because he's like, you're not even a big cop anymore. You're not even big anymore.
I'm not even
Shaft is
pig.
like, you think that makes
Calls him
me
a pig, actually.
You're not even a pig anymore.
This is a good. This part is also so weird too because this is when they're in the little cafe, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Do you think that makes me less dangerous or more dangerous? I think is a great.
he also tells him he will fucking kill him, which is great. But my
Been
favorite
friends to
part of
kill
this
him, yeah.
entire interaction is like, it's like panning across a diner counter, like a small kind of like nice hole in the wall style diner. Again, it seems like early morning. There's steam coming off the coffee. I'm like, I can feel the chill in the air outside there. And then the waiter, the server, she picks up the coffee.
The
and
waiter.
the waiter picks up I combined server and waiter together in my head.
I loved it. It was very gruel.
She picks up the coffee mug and she is about to go behind the counter and she goes like she gasps and then Shaft takes the coffee and brings it to Peoples Hernandez and I'm like, what the fuck? Why is she so scared of Shaft? Like he was just standing there, right? Was he making a face?
That's the part where he comes in and they say like no black people here, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable with this scene.
Oh, did they say it in another language?
No, they say it in English.
What? I don't remember that.
Yeah, and I went, it's just like
I didn't.
I don't
hear
know.
it.
It's just a little
Well,
like
that's why she's so scared, I guess, because she's like,
slightly
you're not.
unnecessary.
Right.
Yeah, like there's clearly some race relations situation. It's very tense.
Very, very tense indeed. I've never noticed that, and I've seen this movie 1 million times. I must have.
Oh,
been
I
laughing
noticed it and I went,
later, scared of Shaft.
excuse me?
Anyway, it's a good little scene. I like.
It's a cute line when he's like, I knew you were looking for a job, but this
Oh yeah.
Crazy. I don't think it's Peoples Hernandez probably
Man.
have the best lines in the movie out of everybody. Like almost everything he says is quite funny. And I think Jason, you might be right that a lot of his shit was probably in some way improvised. Yes, no, go ahead.
I'm not even sure if the lines are written well.
Sorry.
Oh jeez. Oh my god.
I
Shaft's girls are on in one.
Yeah.
I think that his delivery just makes every single line like he just makes a meal out of everything. So the persona that he's taking on, I feel like if anyone else is reading those, if like he didn't go into this, like Jeffrey Wright's not there, like he's left the building. There's this whole other character that he's created, like a super underrated character actor for so long, and then like finally people started to notice him as he got bigger parts, but still kind of a character actor to be honest. But yeah, he just puts a lot of soul, no, wrong word, stuff into his lines.
Yeah, I think
It
that
just elevates them. Even though he's playing a caricature and I have some issues with what he's doing with that character, can't deny that that performance is insane in a good way.
very good, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where even now watching it, I'm like, am I allowed to enjoy this? Like, I'm not sure if I should be having as much fun with this as but then you're just like, no, I think it's okay. And then you look into it a little bit more, and you're like, no, it seems like it's okay. It seems like universally people agree that one of the best parts of this movie is his performance, and like everything else in the movie, it's turned up to a degree that is so cartoonish that we cannot fault it for being what it is.
I'm still jury's out. I still think it's a good performance. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it's the 2000s, and like this is the least of it in that time.
I'm actually
Like-
surprised that
At least they're saying the F slur in another language.
Like it's no, and they don't say the R word. Like it's the least offensive 2000s movie, even with things that I'm like,
I'm
like
surprised
this was
this
a
didn't-
godless time.
I'm surprised this didn't re-franchise. Like I'm surprised like it did okay. I'm surprised they didn't just like churn a bunch of these out because of
I
how
wonder
well
what
this
it
movie
was.
works.
I wonder if it was that they
Was Sam
couldn't-
just busy?
It might have been Sam. It might have been that John Singleton didn't want to do any more of them, but who knows? Like I don't know the answer. I would like to know because I think it did well enough that it would have warranted a sequel, but maybe
Yeah,
he was like,
It
I
made
don't
more
wanna-
than twice its
It
money
made twice
back.
as
So,
mu- it made it
so it
yeah.
made its marketing money back for sure.
And I think
in
that a
its
sequel
budget.
could have probably blown the roof off it because like most people that I know didn't see this in theater. It was
This
a
is the
niche.
Batman Begins, but we never got the Dark Knight, the Shaft Knight.
Where like we would have listened. No, we know you hate fucking the Dark Knight,
The Dark Shaft.
the Dark Shaft. Oh,
My favorite of those three movies is definitely Returns. Like the Bane. Mwah.
Batman Returns.
No,
The Dark Knight Returns. Yeah.
yeah.
The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, whatever, man.
Yeah.
I don't like those movies. Actually,
My
I actually
favorite
think
Christopher
Batman
Nolan
Begins
Batman is
the best
Batman
one.
Returns, and I won't hear anything of it.
Yeah. I love
Sorry.
the Penguin.
Rises is funny. Batman Begins, I think, is the best one, but I don't like any of them. So listen.
Batman Begins is good. Yeah.
That's
I
great.
think that that's a franchise that did not age well as well. But I think
I think
at
their
the
fans
time-
just didn't age well. It would be fine if they didn't have
it
any
wasn't
fans.
for the fans. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
So Shaft,
let's not dwell on
yeah.
the Batmans, even though he
Shaft-
is in this.
You
movie.
brought it
even though he literally is in this movie.
Jason brought it up and you made a face, and I was like, you don't have to get mad about it. Just don't acknowledge it.
I like the Dark Knight. I think it does what it's supposed to.
It's fine.
Shaft goes to Diane's again.
Shaft.
And now there's goons there. One of them is her brother, who is a juicy boy, a big. What are the chances? This is when I was like, they're just putting characters in this movie that serve purposes for.
But they're all
purpose that they're
cartoons. So
supposed to
like,
serve.
what are her
Yeah.
brothers going to be? Big
Huge
meatball.
jacked freaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one's gonna be like sort of like somebody who looks like they work at the docks or whatever, and the other one
Whatever.
and the other one looks like he probably is like a gym rat. I'm a personal trainer over here.
But
And,
we're
like-
personal trainer for professional
Guys,
wrestlers over
They're
there.
probably just both construction workers.
One of
Also
them
that,
just
yeah.
does the hammering, and the other one sits in the crane all freaking day.
I hold the fucking nail, bitch. Sorry.
but yeah,
Now this podcast is anti-construction worker. This is very
Yeah.
deeply anti-blue collar.
I
Yeah.
know. I said some shit about MAGA before you guys came on, and we're gonna get canceled by MAGA again. So anyway, no luck. Crooked detectives show up. They're looking for intel on Diane as well. They're tailed by Marcella and Droves, which were their names. I think those are the
Yep. Those are the two guys, the detective
Goons.
guys. Yeah.
And now they're following them. Shaft tracks Wade to a jewelry shop where he has a money bag. He walks out with the money bag, and then they rob him with Luger. Him and Luger rob him. There's $42K in the bag. That's when I was like, when they liked each other, when they like shook hands basically by being racist at each other, I was like, I want this buddy. The sequel should be like Luger and Shaft do a buddy
Jason's
cop.
like, I wish that I had a friend.
They
I
go
could
to
do that.
Miami. That's what the secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called Shaft and Luger in Miami.
dun.
Two Shaft, two Fear.
Two shafts
Shaft,
are better
too
than one
ridiculous.
shaft. Yeah.
Wade tries to explain to Peoples, but that's not how it works from getting the $42,000 stolen. Now he has to do the drug dealing, which is sort of a dead end story beat because we never see him going to a country club and trying to hawk his wares.
He does come back at one point looking a little beleaguered, like he was trying to hawk wares.
He was trying to do it. Yeah. He even like, it's just, you can see him kind of like shrinking and you can see him getting scared. Whereas the first time he was there, he wasn't really scared. He's like, I don't give a fuck what you
I
But
say.
even
will-
when he leaves, he grabs the bag aggressively and like slams the door. I'm still going like, why aren't these guys just like hanging him over a balcony?
My favorite part is that he says, "Are you shitting me?" Like while he's taking a shit. Like the guy's-
I wanted to ask you guys, like, is that what you guys want to see in a movie? Is it just
No.
me that does not want to see someone shitting while talking?
no, it's absolutely disgusting.
Is that what
Like,
the people want?
it made me uncomfortable as a little boy, and it makes me uncomfortable as a little man. And I'm like, I don't want to see this. It's and like the turd drop sound effect. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, he's succeeding in what he's doing too.
I was
What are
thinking
you
about this.
trying to
I
convey?
think what it's trying to convey is that when you're in prison, you have to like shit around people all the time. So to show how like badass and aloof and you don't care, you like it's like a power move to do that based off.
It
of
definitely, most
prison
definitely was a
dynamics.
power move in the sense that he's like, I care so little about your opinion of me that I will take a shit in front of you and still continue this conversation.
But he's also taking a shit in front of other people.
That's
Does
how he
anyone
feels
here
about
have
everybody.
siblings? Would you take
I-
a shit beside your sibling
I
wouldn't
don't,
take a
and
shit
I
in
wouldn't
front
if I did.
any-
as an
Anybody.
adult?
I have held my shit in for several days because I knew the room was small enough that someone would hear me. So no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
Sometimes I consider like in the office, consider going to a Subway.
Just to take a shit?
Why is it better in a Subway
That's a cleaner bathroom typically.
than your work bathroom?
No,
No, like emptier.
all
Like
the
you don't
fast
want to take a
food.
shit beside your coworker,
yeah,
who is then going to be like looking at you like after, like,
yeah.
Right.
or
But it's all
running away.
because-
They slam the door as you're starting to take a shit. You
I've-
hear the door
in my
slam,
life,
the
I've
other
been-
thing slam.
In my life, I've been pretty good at like regulating my body so that I only ever do it when I'm at home.
Are you Dwight Schrute?
Am I? I
Very
mean, a lot of
Dwight Schrute
ways,
line.
a little bit, yeah.
So, audience,
I only
hey,
take
did you see
shit.
this
I
one?
can regulate my shit.
There's
Is
been a
this
few
what you wanted to
emergencies.
hear?
You
Is this
asked.
what
You
you
asked the
want?
You did
question.
ask.
You asked us about this.
Oh, I know. I did like that the progression in the story between Peoples and Patrick Bateman, because I would have had a serious issue with it if he had been more kinder to the guy who's clearly a like neo-Nazi.
Mhm.
Like that would have been even weirder with everything that's kind of like weird racy about this movie. The fact that he kind of turns on him and he's not really using him. There's no like any level of compassion there whatsoever and whatnot. Like that made me feel a little better about that because
As
I
a-
was like,
as a little-
"Ooh!" at the
As a little
beginning.
side note, you're referring to Wade when you say neo-Nazi, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's
The white
interesting
guy,
about
yeah.
that? But at the time, you wouldn't really peg him as you are a neo-Nazi. At the time, this character seems like just a racist. But with everything that's happened in the last 25 years, full of neo-Nazi behavior, like the way that we sort of compartmentalize people like that now. which is an insane shift in the paradigm of racism.
When did American History X come out?
Close to this.
Around this, like 2001?
Because I remember very specifically being very aware of the neo-Nazi thing, and it was around that time that movie came out, but it was also because of like Russian subculture neo-Nazis and me just paying attention to too many things, I think. But I get what you're saying, that what a Nazi is has shifted over time.
Yeah, I think at the time of making this, like they call, they do huck the word Nazi around in this movie quite a bit, almost as a punchline, because there was a time where the threat of Nazis returning was not actually a valid threat. It was
it was a joke, like you just said, a punchline. But it's like any form of racism that I see almost implies when you get into that alt-right territory. It's
well, the thing about this guy is
that,
like, he's a sociopath, right? Like he just doesn't give a shit about anybody, but he is like super openly racist because him and his buddies think it's funny, but like he's evil clearly because he goes and kills somebody immediately, right?
And here I am being the dick of like using a word as shorthand for this guy who did a racist thing, who was blah 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 blah. I use that to get that feeling in order to put my point across without really thinking about what that word meant. Then it turned into this conversation. So
yeah,
that maybe we're all wrong about everything.
I think that every day that goes past us, I realize how wrong I am about so many things. But I think being able to like examine things differently, that's why I kind of like. Even though it can be really heavy sometimes, like the conversation we're having right now, going back and examining Shaft as something that, should be taken seriously, maybe not the best forum to have the conversation, but it's still
no, but there's no conversation around how messy Shaft is anywhere. And it's really messy, and I don't want to get into it. It's kind of
annoying too, because I looked at
kind of messy.
I was looking for conversations about this movie, and there's one podcast that has talked about it pretty deeply, but I didn't have time to listen to the full thing. I have listened to it years ago, but I don't remember what their sort of like the meat and potatoes of that discussion was. But every other conversation about this movie is just them rehashing what happened in the movie and not actually discussing it. So it's like, this movie is dealing with a lot of very heavy stuff, like you brought up at the beginning, Noel, where it's like, this is subject matter that is super meaty, and you could have a really long talk about Shaft and how it deals with it. But we're a lighthearted podcast over here, and we want to make funny voices more than we want to talk about that.
Boing.
Like the fact that he cuts the holes in the napkin and throws it on him. Like that imagery is how we open. Like the inciting incident is like, that's what I mean by like very deeply serious subject.
And that's what I'm talking about. The
opening thing is like,
in 2000, seeing him act racist like that was almost a punchline in itself, but it's very serious through the lens of the big 25, if you will. In 2025, when you see somebody acting like that to a person of color, it's indicative of the most systemic, brutal racism that you could possibly even imagine, because of how overtly racist he is in that opening scene. That's all I'm trying to say. It really was shocking to me that they had a scene like that and then have him kill the person with no reprieve from that person. He doesn't really get Mekhi Phifer's character doesn't really get, Trey is his name actually. He doesn't really get any comeuppance until, spoilers, the end. His mom sort of just has had
not
enough.
Comeuppance.
Yeah, he has almost no dialogue. Like he basically is sort of a shadowy, he's almost like a memory the entire time in that opening sequence, right? Like the stuff that he's saying is, there's no sort of like fully fleshed out sentences or anything like that.
Wade doesn't get his comeuppance.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. So Trey is in this movie playing the role of wife.mp4 of like the dead wife at the beginning, the no voice, like
the ethereal, like these are the last moments video of man.
He's like Mr. Freeze
over and over.
Nora. He's like Nora.
Like John Wick's dead wife.mp4, like that. Yeah. So like Barbara Hummel, like whatever. Like that.
Listen, we're all making we're giving all very good comparisons here. Nora's one, John Wick's wife another. They're all there.
Every Christopher Nolan movie character at the beginning. But that's
All of
the
Oppenheimer.
role that's playing. So like he's the whole point. The Shaft goes on this. He's the dead dog. Like it's
Yeah.
a horrible way to say that, but the way that they get there is through this really dark subject matter. And I think that maybe it was a punchline because we weren't aware, but I'm not sure it was. I would like to know. I'm sure it wasn't a punchline to everybody watching this movie, but there's no conversation around it anywhere on the internet because it's an older movie. I think because even though it's ubiquitous, like I don't think these movies are well regarded very much. Like a couple people are like, yeah, I like the Shaft movies where people think about them,
Yeah.
but I can't think of anybody I know who's seen all 5. Like,
Yeah,
People know what the idea of Shaft. You know,
it's like I've definitely
Yeah.
seen the first one. I've seen this one, and I've seen the new one. But like Shaft, I think there's one called like Shaft in Africa or something, and then there's Shaft takes care of business, or like it's they're just
yeah,
kind of
there's the 3 Roundtree ones and then the 2 Sam Jackson ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But so that's what I'm saying. Like we're having this conversation here, but like we're not a racially diverse trio necessarily.
Mhm.
But there's just no conversation about that, which is
I'm Irish.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about your potatoes and that you're really put upon. I do
Sorry.
think that England treated your people absolutely terribly. And the whole idea that you didn't have potatoes and that that the Irish people starved because all they had to eat was potatoes is crazy because they couldn't eat
Okay.
other food, but it's because they were exporting all of their other food to England and the only thing that they had left was the potato.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I
When
didn't
I
mean
first
to
met
say-
Jason, I was like, "Look
Yeah,
at this."
you know what? You bring that stuff up, I'm gonna take it like, oh, I'm gonna run with it. So you be careful. No, but that's what I'm saying. There's not a lot of conversation about that, but like now there would be. But
Yeah.
that's the point you're making.
But I do think there's also like, we have talked about it already, but like that opening sequence is super powerful, even to like a little kid who's, not a black, like a little white kid, me, instantly being able to recognize that this man is evil. He's treating somebody completely different and making everybody uncomfortable. And it's like super obvious that this is a bad guy. And then, the KKK sort of like iconography, I guess is what you would call it.
Iconography, yeah.
Yeah,
That's where
and
my
you're
head
like,
went,
oh
too.
my lord, that is the
Yeah.
hardest diss I've ever seen. And then everybody in the movie being happy about that and like seeing Shaft like
Or just laughing at it like lol lol
Yeah.
lol joke.
but
Right?
even like cutting to Shaft's face where he has the crooked
Yeah.
smile about it. I'm like, yeah, this is good. And that is maybe the hardest diss I've ever seen in a movie regarding racism, right? Because like I didn't watch a lot of movies about racism when I was a little kid, and this is maybe one of the first ones where I'm seeing it in sort of this palpable way, something that's palatable to like a little kid, right? Where I'm like, okay, I'm getting it a little bit
But
more than I maybe would have.
Is Patrick Bateman the villain in this movie, or is it people? Like I know there's 2.
Yeah,
But, like-
I have thoughts on all of it. I have thoughts on both.
I think that
Sorry.
Peoples is also.
I'm going to cover Peoples a little
weirdly-
bit later.
I think that Peoples is weirdly a victim as well, and a weird like I can identify more with Peoples than I can with Patrick Bateman in so many ways. But at the same time,
Can't
I understand.
identify with either.
Well, I mean,
Well, I think that
if I had to
think
choose
that-
one to identify with, I can identify more with Peoples because he has family that he cares about. He feels like he's stuck in a place that he can't get out of, and he looks into a world that he's not a part of, that he feels like he'll never be able to be a part of, no matter how hard he tries to break into it. Those are
Yeah.
things that I can at least in a way identify with, but I'm not going to be able to identify with waving my hand and having 5 people die 3
And-
blocks down, or stabbing myself with an ice pick.
Right.
or,
I fully agree with that. And I think that Wade's character is meant to be more of like a foil, and people's character arc is more of like the supervillain thing, especially after he loses his brother and all of his people and his shirt's ripped open, he's covered in blood, which we'll get to when we get to it. But I think that there's a good character progression for both, but I think Wade's story
I mean, they're
dropped
both
off a bunch of times during this movie, and Peoples is a constant through the whole thing. And
Because
So I think
he's the puppet master. In a lot
There's
of ways.
nothing you can do. I mean, there are things you could do to make Wade's character more relatable, but I think the movie wisely decided to not do that, right? Like we could have had
Yeah.
a mother character where he is upset about his mother, and we would all be able to in some way attach ourselves to either the loss of mother, absence of mother, or love for mother. Whereas like I don't think that would have been a good idea, since we already are kind of playing with that in terms of People's character, right? Wade is just the evil. He's just evil in the movie, and that's all he is, and that's all he should.
Well,
It's
I
very
think the-
comic book.
Hold on, let
yeah, so I think the scientific way that we can decide this on like who's the foil, who's the a very serious way is let's look at it like which one is Two-Face and which one is Joker.
Which
I
one is
mean,
Two-Face and which one is the Riddler?
the thing is like
That's the one, Riddler.
Oh, Riddler. I think that
Spoilers, they're all the Joker.
yeah, no, I
No,
don't
but
know. It's
in Batman Forever, like like
Oh,
which
right,
one
right,
is
right.
Poison Ivy, which one is
I feel like you can't, because at least Batman villains, their villains are a little bit more well-rounded than these Shaft characters.
I think Peoples is a good Batman villain. You get, in the third act, he probably gets a super shredder serum or something. But like I think that Wade is the like sub villain, right? The villain we're supposed to be
The
focused
thing
on.
that
But when
really
he-
sucks,
right from the minute we see Jeffrey Wright, I'm like, oh fuck, what a captivating character! Like I really liked his work through this whole movie as Peoples. Even
I
though
I mean,
feel like-
everyone is acting their butts off in this movie in a way that
It's super.
doesn't like I wouldn't necessarily have needed that to have like an
It could've
enjoyable
been-
movie,
Yeah,
but it definitely elevates it.
It could have been even more cartoony, but because everybody, like Toni Collette, her acting throughout this movie is like, I wouldn't say mind-blowingly good, but like I believed every single emotion that
Yeah.
she was going through. I'm
She's
like,
an
I can tell
incredible
exactly
actor.
how she feels because she's so good.
Yes. And not seeing the actual murder until they find Toni Collette is
Such a good
also
thing.
like a brilliant way to like give us that moment. Then like that's when I actually started getting a little tense in the movie because like for the most part I was like, yeah, this is just, and I was like, oh god.
It's also like again to go back to like how good the editing in this is like they show you it like 3 or 4 times in that moment that she's describing it from different angles and having different sort of like sound compilations, like layers on top of layers, and you never see it, like you said, you never see it once up until that point, but on rewatch, almost every time I rewatch it, I think that I have seen that moment earlier than I actually have because of how crazy impactful it is, and I know what's happened. Every time I rewatch this movie, I think it happens right at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, because
But you can imagine it.
knowing it. Yeah.
Like you can really
That's
imagine it because they tell you what happened, right? Like it's not us. We know it's this guy. He grabbed this pole and he did. Like we see all of the pieces and we get the answer very, very end. So like our brain already puts it together, but then seeing it, like
and that's one of those, the sound design there is like one of those things where like him picking up the pole, him swinging it, the sound it makes when it hits him, and even the sound of the blood hitting the ground, like all of it is just like kind of like stitched into my brain, like branded on my brain, where like I know exactly what it sounds like because of how sort of like twisted and fucked it is. Where you're just like, oh my god, again, like the tonal shifts in this movie are so crazy. Where you're like, oh,
and you're getting the story from Toni Collette. Now imagine if you were getting the story from like Katie Holmes instead.
or even Patrick Bateman, like the sound would be all different. Like he'd be like, it was nothing. That I think that's kind of like the beauty of like the Singleton storytelling. Like I'm not overly familiar with his movies, but like they're all kind of like they have these sort of layers to them, right? Like he's a super talented, or he was a super talented filmmaker.
I really have to rewatch Too Fast, Too Furious because I don't remember anything redeeming about that movie.
I
think we need to do Boys in the Hood, and
but
I know
you know
the
what?
basic story of Boys in the Hood.
That's the only one I've seen in theaters. Yeah, but I mean, he has a short run as a director, right? Like he's
He unfortunately passed
He
away.
produced a lot of stuff too. He was a
Yeah,
pretty-
this would have been the
producer.
perfect time to do a whole bunch of these sequels. Like this is what was going
That's-
on at this
That's
time.
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I learned from
Yeah.
watching this movie.
We all
today.
should have looked up why they didn't do more. There must have been a reason.
Hey Siri.
Why didn't Sam?
Why
Jackson-
aren't there more Shaft?
He's like, I had to make more Star Warses.
I don't know how to answer that. I believe you meant pornhub.com/shaft. Listen, let me
You
move
mean
the story
two boys,
along.
one shaft.
Sorry. I think that was a good conversation though. Well
That
done.
was. Well done. We did it. Michelle Williams. Michelle Williams gets a call over the wire. She wasn't in the wire, but over the wire because she's like listening on phone calls. She gets a tip about where Diane may be. Shaft is investigating.
Diane
After
Palmieri.
Palmieri. Shaft investigates after planting the money in the car that they had stolen. The detectives are investigating him back. There's a scene with the car wash. There's another tail sequence where they're taking them to Diane based on the phone call. Peoples rolls into. Shaft calls Peoples on the phone and uses Busta to tell him that it was the detectives that stole the money and robbed Wade in the first place. The money is planted in the crooked detective's car. And then he's like, get out of the car. Peoples is like, get out of the car. We just got a tip. They
No. Hold on. You're fucking this whole thing up.
I'll be right back, guys. You carry on.
Sorry, you're not fucking
No.
it up. Just the way you're telling it, it's like it's too clinical, Jason. You gotta get musical with it. You have to follow the beat.
I know. I'm trying to tell the parts of the story the way that I witnessed them. That's why I remember earlier today I was like, my notes are insane because of the way that I was like describing what was happening in the movie. So Steve, why don't you get
This whole
musical with
part
it?
is crazy because we all know as the audience that this whole thing has been manipulated by Shaft, right? Like we know
Right.
that everybody's working either together or against each other or lying to each other. There's this whole sort of like circus of people all interacting in crazy ways. But Shaft is like, I'm going to get these guys to follow me. Then I'm going to get them to follow me all the way to where they need to go. Then I'm going to park so that they think that I'm over there while they do the money drop over here. But we've already stolen the $40,000 from Christian Bale, who's over there. And these guys are here, the crooked cops and Peoples. And they have this sort of like back and forth conversation in the car, which is like the tension is rising, but Peoples is like, okay, I have to tell them that, oh, sorry, he got robbed. Man, I don't have the money. And so sorry, it's gone. And then, and like, there's this funny moment where he's like, it's really dangerous out there. It's so super dangerous. And, like, he can't like he's like avoiding eye contact with him because he's like, I really don't give a shit what your emotions are, but I don't want to look you in the eye because this whole thing is uncomfortable to me, which is like giving you a little bit of insight into like, the choices he's making as an actor, which is so fucking funny. And then, yeah, that's when he gets, I think Busta Rhymes' character's name is Rasan? Is it Rasan?
Yeah.
Right. And again, like Shaft doesn't even bother covering up the microphone. He's like, say exactly what I said to say. And he's like, yo, those two fucking pigs in the car next to you, they robbed the white boy. The money's underneath the seat. And then Jeffrey Wright gets out of the car, walks up, and he says, step out of the car, please. Which is like, he does like the low angle, like police officer looking into your window, telling them to step out of the car.
Step out of the car.
It's so good. And then they find the money, and then they have this crazy standoff where everybody's got their guns pointed at each other's chests, and they're trying to figure out what happened, but they don't know. And then People's brother is taking a piss in a house, which I'm like, whose house is he in? Is he just peeing somewhere? Like, I don't know.
Also, they've been looking at Leon the whole time, who they thought was Shaft.
They think it's Shaft, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Shaft drives away because he sees that everything's gone according to plan, but he's left. And this is one of those moments where you're like, Shaft, you didn't need to be there. The only reason that this whole thing got fucked up is because you were there watching, because you had to watch your plan. You're like, yes, my plan is working. So again, no, like as you're saying, like so many things in this movie don't need to happen in the way that they happen. You're muted, by the way, Noel. Can't hear you. Something get unplugged, maybe, or all right. I think you're saying one.
Good
phone.
miming.
Uh-oh.
Well, now you're muted. Now you're clearly muted.
All right.
Is the mic unplugged from the plug?
Oh, I see a
No,
light
I
on.
can see the red light. Yeah. In SteamYard, do you guys maybe switch it back or something? This is the part of the show where we recognize that technical difficulties are happening. Ding, 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 ding. I'm gonna go like this for like a minute, just to, so when I look back at the tape later, I'll be able to see that this is the part where their voice was cut out. So
We could also both turn our cameras off, so it's just Noel's face.
oh, yeah,
cut
that's
this
gonna be
out.
worse.
Hello.
Oh, there you go.
Well, what the hell?
All right, cut it, print it.
Well, my sound is off, but you can hear me, so that's good.
Yeah, perfect.
Talk about yourself. Ignore me. Carry on.
No, because now I want to edit this down a little bit. I think maybe. I think I'm going to try editing. Cool. So, what were you going to say, Noel?
I don't remember.
I
Just
said
that-
you were right, Noel. This whole thing didn't need to happen because Sam Jackson was watching.
Yes, there were several points at
Be
which
back in
Sam
1 second.
Jackson was watching where he didn't need to be, or like several moments that I was just like, the tension was, it wasn't story tension, it was logic tension that I was feeling near the end of it. But
I think a lot of that happened. Yeah, it gets kind of like bunched up in the tail end of this movie where it's like, now we have all these loose ends to wrap up. How do we do it? And it's like, okay, I guess we're just gonna have a bunch of gunfights kind of
and
session.
I get it. Like, you need those two cops to live longer in order to like raise the stakes near the end. So it's not unintentional that you have. It's not like a movie plot hole or like a bad like director or whatever like putting Shaft to watch there. It's all very calculated.
Yeah.
But and that's why Shaft isn't like, I don't know, some infallible like James Bond character. I guess he does make mistakes, but
yeah. And I mean, I guess like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense logically that he wouldn't just like waste those two guys, because they're kind of the reason that the brother died, right?
Yeah.
And like, he's so upset that you think that he would just murder them immediately, but I guess maybe he does have some sort of tether still to like, if I still have these guys on a leash, they're now tied up in this thing so heavily that like, I don't think that they'll ever be able to get out of this.
Yes, and I mean, they said it themselves. Like at that point, like at the end, they're like, they have to go in and try to kill Shaft because that's
Shaft,
where they're at.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the only option left. There's nothing else. So you do need those characters to up the ante. You need them to shoot Vanessa Williams. Like you need like a couple more things there, but I didn't like how we got there.
No, yeah, and I don't like that they just like blast her in the middle of the street. There's a lot of like people just
But
getting
that's like
shot or
my only gripe so
Yeah.
far as story goes.
Yeah.
Like none of the like messy stuff they were talking about. My only gripe of like not a well thought out or something that pulled me out was that him watching, making that mistake, and then kind of like the events leading to the end were a little.
We do get a nice, a pretty good gunfight though, like almost immediately after this, which is like
pretty
and
good.
it's kind of the first one, right? Like there's not really any
Yeah.
major gunfights yet, and this is like a Verhoeven level. I remember
Just
seeing
the goons and Peoples are there, and there's a shootout. Peoples gets hit by the car while doing like a last
talking about
stand.
before all that shit, like before that, when he's just escorting her through the backyard and there's people just
Yeah.
storming it. It
Right.
felt very much like
it felt like a Verhoeven where like the people are crumpling, the squibs have kick and punch to them. The gunshots really are, the sound editing is very Indiana Jones-ish, where it's like those things sound way more powerful than a real gun, where it's kind of
I
like
got
drum.
Point Break vibes when they're in the house with the Red Hot Chili Pepper guy. And they're shooting people left and right.
Oh, right.
I've never
Yeah.
seen Point Blank.
They're talking about this. I'm like, Red Hot Chili Pepper guy from
It's
this.
Flea, right? I assume.
I mean, they're fleeing.
Break.
They're fleeing the premises. That's for sure. And then they have these sort of tight camera angles where they're, Shaft is looking around the corner, but the camera does it for us, and we go into sort of a POV for a minute, and like you see it, and it zips back. Like it's all very
Well, also when they infiltrate the house, we get that camera shot through the window outside of Shaft grabbing Diane, and
Yeah, she
everybody's
freaks out immediately,
the
yeah.
the mom's taking it the wrong way. She thinks that this is all like a
No, it's
terrible
not the
thing
mom. It's
happening.
the neighbor. She's like,
Or-
send your
yeah,
brother,
yeah.
send your sons over here, get your brothers over here, and like Mikey and
And then
Tony show up with their
we
super
think that
weapons.
they've basically gotten the brother killed through this miscommunication of like who's the
Yeah.
bad guy and whatnot.
This family, they're so stupid. But I mean, I guess they're just concerned, and they're like, just leave her alone.
They've been pretty good at hiding her for this amount of
For
time.
2 years, yeah.
Especially against people who seem like they have their fingies in every pie. Like,
Yeah, threatening.
I like that. I like that at the end of this, like all of this stuff is happening. Everybody's lying around dead, and Peoples has his basically his say hello to my little friend moment, but it's just him like realizing all of those.
Yeah,
He-
this is another
he-
one of those moments that's like Noel was saying earlier, where the tone just like shifts to this thing that you're like, holy fuck, like this is actually frightening. Like this guy,
Yeah.
let's come here, motherfucker, and he's like stabbing himself over and over with a knife pick or an ice pick, to the point that his whole shirt rips open like he's a professional wrestler. And he's just bleeding
that's-
everywhere.
That's what I
It's
was saying about
scary.
how what
It
he
freaked me
has
out as a boy.
his ripped open shirt for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
It feels very like supervillain final form moment. And I
Yeah.
really I glommed onto that. I really like that. And he's on a revenge path now, and
For Shaft, he wants Shaft blood.
for Shaft. And yeah. Wade goes to
To be fair,
Peoples.
Shaft is the one that shot his brother directly in the head.
I think so as well. Yeah. I think it shows it.
Made quite
Plain as
clear
day.
that Shaft shoots, and the next shot is it going through the window and hitting dude right in the head. But
Because
Shaft didn't
the-
know.
well, no one. Who else is shooting from Shaft's car?
I don't think that Buster Rhymes is shooting. I think it is just
No,
Shaft.
he's just
yeah.
driving.
But I mean, all
Exactly,
the
so
other
there's,
all the
like,
other people are
no
shooting at Shaft.
chance that it's anyone other than Shaft.
Yeah,
The next scene
Shaft.
I want to
John,
Okay.
as he prefers to be called.
yeah.
talk about Jay Shaft is his uncle. The next sequence where Wade goes to Peoples and they're in that like building, like office building, and he grabs him and throws him through the glass window.
That's his condo. That's his house. They're waiting in his
That's
house.
his. I thought that set piece though, that like another great shattered glass moment. The first one I mean was the jump from window to window shattered glass moment.
Right.
But this one looked so fucking cool. It reminded me of Kick-Ass. At the end of Kick-Ass when he's fighting fucking
Glass Man.
McLovin.
Villain at the beginning of this movie came back. Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Glass Man.
His name
Never
is
seen
Glass.
Kick-Ass.
Glassy ass.
And then
It
fucking
reminded me.
he's holding Wade down, and like, does he have the ice pick there too? And or he cuts his
he's
face
holding
with-
it to his ear, and he's like, he's speaking so quickly, so that Wade doesn't actually understand what he's saying. He's like, what are you saying? Like, I don't understand what you're saying. He's like, what, you got shit in your ears? And he's like,
Yeah.
he's about to shove it in his ear.
He holds
He's
his hand
speaking
down and
so
fucking-
quickly in his crazy thick accent. This is like the quickest you've ever really heard him speak, that it is actually genuinely difficult to understand what he's saying.
And
but he's
that's-
speaking English the whole time.
That's an R-rated moment. The stab in the hand after yelling at his face that
Yeah.
close.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about this scene.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
Like
then-
the Jesus, like,
And
hole
then
in
it
the
also
ground.
keeps cutting to like construction workers or roofers around, and they're all witnessing it happen.
I think you
And-
hear as they leave, you hear sirens start to come. Like
Yeah.
they
At
disturb.
first,
the
I was
peace.
like, there's no way those sirens are for them. But then I'm like, but this is like a rich man in his crazy rich sort of like penthouse apartment for whatever this
But
building.
he doesn't have any money.
Yeah, but he
the
still has it.
15-foot fucking glass window just got
Yeah.
shattered, and
And like
there
these
were
guys are
several
probably
ways.
Cut
calling
off.
the cops, being like, "This fucking rich billionaire is getting attacked by a bunch of gang members. One of them is semi-shirtless, bleeding everywhere, and he's stabbing him with an ice pick." The
Right.
cops
Oh,
are
yeah.
going to arrive pretty quickly.
The cops are probably already in that neighborhood and radioed other cops. Like,
Sure.
Definitely.
security guard, whatever.
So back over to the safe house. Shaft and Diane have a chat. The brother's there. Diane's brother. Diane recounts the night that Trey got killed. She witnessed the whole thing. He threatens her. So we see Wade and Trey have an altercation where Trey's having a smoke. Wade had followed him out of the bar after the KKK napkin thing. And basically, like, is he brandishes this. It's one of those, like,
It's like a staunch or whatever. What are those staunches?
the
Stanchions?
thing. It's like the thing.
Stanchion?
Stanchions? Yeah.
It's called a stanchion. It's the thing. I think it's the thing in between, like, those
A
red
velvet rope. Yeah. It's a
The
stanchion.
sta-
Yeah,
It's called a stanchion, Jason. We've said it
I've
several
never,
times.
I've never heard that word before in my life.
I have used many a stanchion with velvet ropes as part of my jobs.
Oh,
I put one up around my bed every night before I go to bed. I don't
So-
want anybody to disturb me when I'm sleeping.
So
put one
Wilson
around-
Wade doesn't.
My dog's crate, so that she understands that she's a very important person.
I hold one up to my dick and I pretend that it's my wiener as a joke.
And then you go,
Shut your mouth. At any rate, it's disgusting and brutal. He beats him over the head with it. It's like a couple of hits. And he like gets him.
Oh, it's one hit.
Yeah, and he like gets in his face and calls him.
No, he hits him once in the head. He falls over and he's fucked because that would, if you hit somebody that hard in the head with a metal pipe, they'd be fucking dead.
"You fuck."
And he doesn't say anything to him. He leans over and sticks his fingers in the wound and
Oh,
looks for
yeah.
blood on his hand.
That's how he
how
gets the blood
fucked
on
up he
his
is.
hand.
That's how you know that he's a psychopath. He's not like he's not just like some mad guy. He's not
Yes.
upset. He wanted to do this.
at
There's that great
first,
sequence. There's that great scene too where he looks over and it just like hard cuts onto her standing there having a cigarette, like shocked. And she recounts that she wanted to run, but she couldn't. And he walks over and he's got blood all over his hand. He grabs her by the face and
Yeah.
pushes her up against the wall.
for a second, and there's no way this wasn't intentional. For a second, when he touches the blood, you kind of get the feeling that he's going to do that thing that sometimes you see in movies where there's somebody's like, "What did I just do?" But then it's like, "Nope." Like,
He goes like this
What?
with the blood to himself, even.
and then you're like, "Oh no, he's really satisfied with himself now."
He does wipe
Um,
it across his lips and he goes, Batman can try and fuck with me now.
So this is why smoking is bad. If you
Yeah.
didn't smoke, you wouldn't see a murder. You wouldn't run for your life for 2 years.
Also, if he didn't smoke, he wouldn't have got clubbed in the head with a fucking metal baseball bat.
So remember that
Oh.
anti-smoking
Yeah.
PSA with the
Oh,
guys from FUBAR?
I don't
where
think
they're
I
like-
where that went.
I mean,
What if
you're
I
victim
go-
blaming. All victim blame too.
You know, what if I go
All good
outside,
together.
I
eh,
made a
and like
mistake.
the Pope's out there having a smoke, and I don't get to meet the Pope, eh? Remember that anti-smoking PSA?
I don't, but I regret everything I just said.
Yeah, you said terrible things just now.
No, I think that what really would have stopped this is that horrible man, the horrible racist man. He should have been arrested a
Yeah.
long time ago, probably for other crimes he's
Hundreds
committed.
of years of systemic racism.
Yeah.
And
I guarantee you that Walter Wade has committed so many other crimes in the
Oh
past
yeah.
outside of this one.
He hasn't.
Maybe not murder, but something terrible. He's definitely done something.
And maybe
terrible before
even
this.
murder.
True, yeah. In another country, it was a ski accident.
Definitely. I'm not going to say it. Definitely other
He's
stuff.
definitely done essays to people.
Yeah.
Definitely stuff.
Dad,
College.
I need you to get rid of another streetwalker. What? Walter again? Walter.
I killed a homeless guy again.
Yeah. I fed a cat into an
The kind of
ATM
guy
machine.
who was on a rowing team, you know?
Right. I've got to go return some videotapes. I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. Return some videotapes. But she does. It turns out that she did actually. She was the reason. This is how I interpreted it. And this, tell me if I'm wrong. But she did actually tell the police that he did it, and then he ended up walking on $200K bail. Is that not it? Okay.
No, she got a call. So he grabbed her and was like, Diane, you're going to get a call from someone. And then took
Right.
her driver's license. She did get the call, something smooth, something. So she took $50K. She was offered money in 2 installments
The opposite.
in order to disappear / not talk. So she took the money and ran. What she said was, it was that she had initially been telling herself for years that it was enough that she went eyeballs to him and pointed him out to Shaft when he came into the bar.
Right.
And that's like it, she did that. That's the only reason that she pointed him out. He got caught. Wasn't her fault that he posted bail. And so that's, even though I don't think she believed that like she was absolved. But earlier when we hear the phone call that Vanessa Williams is listening to, we hear Diane saying like, I'm not a bad person. And now we find out why she's saying that, because she did take the money. And that's why she can't talk, because she did take money and she feels terrible about it.
Okay.
Is there like a law against talking after you get paid? It's like there must not be.
No.
It's like
No, of course not, because they're just like trying to pay you
I
off
think
to stop talking.
I think there's probably laws against like taking money. Like she's probably gonna be guilty of some crime, right?
No, but what it doesn't play well with juries, right? So if somebody did not testify initially and then took hush money for it, what is the, like in a court, like how is the defense going to portray that now they're coming forward and saying something even though they took hush money before? Like this, it becomes it's not an unimpeachable witness at that point, right?
So you couldn't the defense be like, this is not a reliable witness, I want them to not be able to be questioned in court in front of the jury because of that kind of thing?
No, they would say it's not a reliable witness, but they probably would cross-examine. They would just do a ruthless cross-examination.
Right. Like, who's to say that you weren't paid to say exactly what you're saying right here?
They would get a deposition, and they would probably go and look up everything about her and then use those personal like things to say, like, why did you take the money? Like, there's like real cross-examinations can be so ruthless. Like they look like they're out of movies, right? So
I'm just a simple country lawyer from outside of Gotham City, but I think I understand the law here.
But I think it's not like, before we even get to that point, I think she's just having like a crisis of conscience, like that she took this, she feels. How would you feel if you witnessed a murder and then you cowardly took money in order to shut up about it, and this guy's been got out on bail and everything's happening, you've had to run away, right? And somebody's been looking for you to testify because they think that you're the witness, but they don't know this other part of you. I think that's just like more of an internal conflict for her, even though it would have consequences in the court case, right? Like presenting that evidence may not necessarily change too much of the outcome, right? Because we already knew that he did it. If self-defense was the reason that he got, like, there's just so many other, like, sorry, if this was a court drama, Law and Order, we would have a second part.
Gung gung.
Dun, 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 dun,
That's how I interpreted that.
Michelle Williams sees the crooked detectives over to this moment now. They wonder if she knows.
You say Michelle Williams again?
He's been saying it the whole time, but I also called the Riddler
Vanessa Williams.
So whatever, man.
That's true. Yeah.
Vanessa Williams sees the crooked detectives. They wonder if she knows. They try and lie to her. The one guy's like, just follow my lead. She lies about having a vest, a bulletproof vest on.
This is one of those moments where you're like, why would you even ask that question? You know, like,
why not shoot her in the face? Also,
I mean, I feel like nobody wants to do that, right? Like,
also,
even if
I don't know if these cops who are like, I don't know if they want to like really shoot to kill in this instance.
I think they're trying to
even.
kill because she knows
Yeah,
what's going
okay.
on. But they don't want to shoot her in the head because
easier
one,
to
that's fucked
shoot-
up.
Well, I think it's just that it's faster to shoot the part that is completely available to you when you're shooting quickly
Yeah.
than trying to
Especially if you
like,
know
aim
that
at
she
the
doesn't
head.
have
A
Yeah.
vest on you.
a vest on.
But
But
also think
during
about the
this-
mental trauma you're going to cause yourself if you blast somebody's fucking face apart with a gun.
I don't think these guys care too much.
That's true. They just want that shmoney.
Am I thinking
but
too much into this? I
people's
think it's also
No,
one of those
you might
things
not
to
be
be like,
wrong.
but also
People's-
why even make that a conversation? Are you wearing your vest? No. Like, do you think she would say yes if she was?
Well, if they don't,
He's
if they
already-
don't know
Do
that
not
she
shoot
knows,
her
if
if
they
she
think that
was.
she does not know that they are the crooked cops, then maybe.
Also, I think these
He's
two guys
going
are
to help.
fucking dumbasses. I think that's
They're
maybe
stupid
one of
as
the
hell.
part. Like,
Yes.
there's that moment where they're just like talking back and forth, like having the most like 99 conversation you've ever. I could be at home trading stocks on the internet.
Trading stocks on the internet, like the
I
internet's
could be
brand new
watching
at
the
this point.
Knicks.
Yeah, I could be
Yeah.
watching the Knicks. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm glad
But-
you guys care about your children enough to follow a line of crime, but then all you want to do when you get home is trade stocks on the internet or watch the Knicks. Good job, guys.
Great
Great
job.
father.
People's Crew does descend on the safe house, and there's another great shootout. This movie has really kicked it into overdrive at this point, and Diane and the rest, they escape, but the detectives end up getting Shaft. And I'm
Shaft.
switching between
Shafted.
Michelle and Vanessa in my notes because now it says Vanessa Williams is okay. Shaft guns his way out. We get a high-speed chase. He gets kind of T-boned and forced into the like dockyards area, and Peoples is lighting up everybody with an Uzi, which I thought was great. It looked awesome. It was a great action set piece, and the car ends up flipping. That
It is good.
everybody.
How did anybody survive that? And the brother is freaking out like you can't. It's anyway.
It's one of those things where like Shaft gets a lucky shot on his brother, like at that one part during the gunfight, but then in this he's like unloading in through his own windshield from the back seat into the other car, destroying both back and rear and front windshields, and they just duck and they're all fine. And I mean, like, it's a movie, obviously.
There's
like,
a moment
no,
during
no, no.
that where the bullets are ricocheting all over the inside of the car, and they're just going like this. But there's little explosions, like a bunch of firecrackers are going off in the car.
gets
It
some
looked
real smoothie up in
awesome.
there.
Exactly.
This is
But
what I
it-
miss about a 2000s action comedy
too.
is you're tense and you think, oh, they're all gonna die, but you know,
It's
and
too
you
funny
feel
for-
good after because they don't all die. Not everything needs to be sad and miserable and have everyone die, and that's like the perfect level
Only
of
one the
tension
Meatball
that I
brothers
need in a
gets
movie.
killed. We can't have both.
No,
of these
he
brothers die.
survives.
I know
He's at
just
the
has, like, a
courthouse
cast
later.
at the end or something.
And you're like, it's like when Olaf comes back and like he gets animated after
you
he
should have had a
melted,
line
and
where
you're
like, I'm too thick to
"Yeah."
get. They couldn't get through my hide with that tiny ice.
They do say he's in the hospital.
Yeah.
Um,
They also say we're gonna check in on him at one point. Like,
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
I need to call my brother and make sure he's all right. And it's like, so I guess Tony didn't get stabbed to death.
but
but
I
I
love
mean,
it because
also
you're
at the same-
elevated,
Yeah.
but you're like, and it's so elevated, and there's no way any of these people should have survived, but they do, and that's why Shaft is amazing.
Yeah.
Shaft is a good movie, guys.
Shaft is a good movie, guys.
He
also
Shaft
if he's-
himself protected them with his like
Craftiness.
Bella Swan Twilight like power where he shielded them from
I would
anything.
call it the Force. He used his Mace Windu powers,
He is Mace Windu, and he is
Oh, yeah.
he is also Nick.
or he used some sort of
Nick Fury.
technology provided by Shield and/or Sword. I,
Oh, don't stop. This is a bit of a hoedown.
Oh, they're like the same song. They're like the same song. The Avengers theme and the Shaft theme.
or as it should have been that like. Dun, 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 dun.
I love this final showdown so much because it goes from like we're gonna fist fight to cowboys fucking let's
It's a
draw.
duel.
Mhm.
It's a
And he his Jeremy or Jeffrey, I keep saying Jeremy Wright, which is a totally different actor.
Jeffrey Rush.
Jeffrey
Yes,
Rush
right.
is who I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Jeffrey Rush.
That's who's in this movie. It's Jeffrey Rush.
Calypso. Yeah. Sorry, that's my Pirates of the Caribbean. We should do that on this one day. But anyway, the way he gets shot and falls over, to me, like, is like peak acting, like getting shot acting. When I was 11 years old or whenever I watched this, I was like, never have I seen someone get shot and act so accurately in the way that someone who would get shot would act when they fall over. I've never seen it in like most movies. They just get shot and fall over. But because he's doing like the stumble and like he's holding himself up for a bit, I'm like, this is realistic. This is how someone would die in
Also,
IRL.
The
Lady
payoff,
Macbeth.
Chekhov's-
That
Yeah.
the payoff of Chekhov's ice pick here is great too, because he has it up against Tony Collette's face.
Listen, man, this is not a Chekhov's ice pick. He's been ice picking people.
He's
this
been
whole
ice
fucking
picking
movie.
people the whole movie. I didn't really pick up on it, and that's my bad.
You didn't ice pick up on it?
I didn't ice pick up on it. And at the beginning
all right,
of
that's
the movie,
the
I
show,
was-
guys.
that thing's coming back. I just chose to block it out for the whole movie.
All right, Jason, here's the t-shirt.
Always bringing
It's a
it
picture. It's a drawing of an ice pick, and it's in quotation marks. That thing's coming back.
It was Schrodinger's ice
It was.
pick because it was there the whole time, but Jason didn't see it.
Oh my God, Schrodinger's ice pick is real, or is it?
Oh my God.
If you freeze an ice pick in a block of ice, is it inside the ice block or is it only in your mind?
Oh man, I'm writing all this down.
Tim,
Ice pick frozen in a block of ice.
And
It's so
also,
funny,
if it's
too.
in there, how do you get to it if you don't have an ice pick? Because the ice pick's frozen inside the ice block.
It's so funny too.
You
this
gotta lick
American
it.
always finds my like stack of notes, and she's like, "Can I throw this out?" And I'm always like, "Give me those. I gotta find the."
You
gotta
threw out
find the-
several good T-shirt ideas, you fucking psychopath.
She, she hasn't to this day, but we almost lost.
if you was Schrodinger's ice pick, I will buy that shirt.
Well,
Okay.
I'll say.
So
I can do that. I can do that for you, Noel.
Anyway, they fist fight, but they never fist a cuff.
They don't
they
fist
literally-
fuck either. I was waiting for it.
We're gonna see a lot of that.
That was a slip. That was a Schrodinger slip.
So that's the end of that part, but we do get like 10 more minutes of movie where we get a whole almost courtroom scene that never transpires, because on the steps of the courtroom, this is the third time we've seen the same shot of this court. They're going up to go into the courtroom, and where in the world is Carmen Sandiego comes and shoots our boy Wade. And everybody's like, "Let her live," or whatever. They're
her go.
chanting, "Let her
Yeah.
go."
because
Yeah.
we see it like we're hearing it over the news, like the broadcast, right? Like there's a new witness, there's blah. You can hear the protesters around, like who have been there at the courthouse, like every time. And there's this really, like, I think important conversation. Like this is what Shaft's been trying to do, is to find justice for the mother. And
Yeah.
he's holding her like through the crowd, like
Yeah.
this is the
We
first
don't-
time you really see them interact like this, but you start to get the feeling that okay, they probably interacted before, like this is
There is
really
there is
meaningful.
some interaction, like he puts his hand on her shoulder and stuff in the
Yeah.
earlier parts, and like you get the feeling that there is another Shaft storyline of him constantly comforting her, right, over the years.
or checking in on her over
Yeah.
the years, like
Yeah.
so there's this really tender moment, and you don't think, well, I didn't think that she was gonna pull her gun out of her little like Queen Elizabeth like
Yeah,
bag that
handbag.
she's, like holding, and you're like, oh, it was there.
And she puts it behind her, and you're like, this is a sick shot. Like it's because she is like, they
Yeah.
go out of the way to make her look frail and old, and like
Yeah.
she's holding it like daintily, but also has like a crazy amount of power in it, where you're like everybody's like parting around her. It's almost like a religious shot, like it's such a good shot of the sea parting before her. It's so
And
good.
her line before she says that, of like Shaft's like, we we got him this time. And she's like, oh, I can't remember what she says, but it's not like, oh, I know, but like she's like, yes, like
Yeah.
You get the whatever it is that she says is the vibe of like 100% chance. Yeah, he's done this
He's
time.
he's going away
she
for a
said that
long time.
because
She was gonna kill him.
Gonna kill him.
And she does. And like this is again one of those things where you're like, oh, the rest of the movie didn't matter. Like it really didn't. The whole Shaft adventure didn't really matter at all. But it still did because it was a fun adventure. We got to watch the adventure of like, you know, it's like an Indiana Jones movie, except
Yeah, I guess if they didn't bring him back to court again, then she would never have the opportunity. Never would have had the opportunity.
That's true.
To get him in that open space, and she.
What is he going back to court for this time? Then I can't remember.
The same thing.
Just the same.
Yeah, like his final
new evidence.
Oh,
new
right.
Trial,
They
right?
needed
Like
to get yeah, Tony Collette. Yeah, and I mean, she's already gone through it twice, right? So she's like, third time's a charm. I'm bringing my gun this time. I'm gonna
they
kill him
make a
before
point.
You're gonna have to.
Yeah, and they make a point in the other trials to show her like reacting to when he gets bail.
Yeah, and she's like, no, like she
and Uncle Shaft or somebody says to him like, no, this isn't gonna like. Good luck if it works. Like,
yeah,
like, but he's like, life finds a way.
Right. Yeah.
Jurassic.
You were too preoccupied of whether you could. You shouldn't have stopped to think about whether you should.
And that's how the movie ended.
And that's how Shaft.
Well, it should be how the movie ends. But Shaft ends up wanting
DNA.
Shaft wants to be a private eye. He wants to bring in the gang.
It is really disappointing. I mean, it's one of those things where it seemed like a lost opportunity. You know, like why wasn't he in 500 Shaft movies after this?
Literally, like it'd be crazy if we lived in 2025 being like, yeah, like Samuel L. Jackson from the Shaft movies. He just happens to also be in 190.
I think though, like when you think about his career, he is such a predominant and constant force in cinema from the early 90s up until now that like franchisey stuff didn't exist for him until Marvel.
True.
Right?
That's what I was just thinking too. Like he didn't do Shaft 100 times. He did Nick Fury 100 times, which is basically the same character. He portrays it very similarly, I would say.
Yeah, except he doesn't tell people to shut the fuck up.
I know
as much as you'd like him to.
As well, just like if Deadpool shows up in one of these new, like in the Doctor Doom movie, they're gonna like that's gonna be a joke that he's beeped in real life. Like that's gonna be.
I've said since the early days of whenever this is gonna be Marvel, they have to do the bleep, and Deadpool has to be like, oh, I guess I should just not swear then because the bleeping budget is through the roof or whatever.
Looks right at us. But I did like the ending of this where it's like a woman comes in and she's clearly like battered, and he goes back to his roots and he wants to go and deliver Shaft justice, which is just beat the fuck out of somebody for retribution's sake. And Dad Shaft just shows up again. He's going to help, or Uncle Shaft, I guess. He's going to help out, and it's like, you know, you come with me and be my second fiddle. He's like, hey, bitch, I am the original Shaft.
I'm the original fiddle.
Well, whatever. That scene at the end, though, there's more tension. Like at first, he doesn't want to help her, and he's like, "This person can take your."
Yeah, he's like, "I'm gonna go be a private detective. I don't need any of this."
Like, yeah, and then he sees her taking off her sunglasses and sees the bruising, and is like, "Where's his address?"
Yeah, I need to.
You can't have his address. You can't do that. He's like, "Bitch."
And then like, you know, that he's like cool with Shaft. And I think that's the guy who Vanessa Williams radioed for the phone race to the thing, and he's like, oh,
yeah, they have their third sort of like partner guy. Yeah.
Yes. And that's what it would have been great with these Shaft movies, is now that you have like a partner team, and then you can add the character from the 71.
You have the Shaft Avengers.
Well. Because like in the 71, one of the primary differences is that he's got a crew. Like he's like in Sam Jackson's version, it's just Sam Jackson as like a very alone character, but he's more infallible in the 71, and like there's this whole team of people that he has working with him, and like he becomes friends with the underground like mob boss and whatnot. So there's like a lot more going on there, and so this is an origin story that could have turned into so much more as you start
Most
adding
definitely.
characters.
And we have like 5 at least characters from this movie alone that could have been partners. They could have had weird larger than life stories that we could have gone into, you know, like we could even have someone die at the beginning of the next movie, like, you know, like the white guy who's like his friend Luger, like he could have died in the beginning of the movie, and it could have been like a whole weird story about where he's actually
Then he
fighting the
comes
real
back in the
KKK.
5th movie because he's
Yeah, and he's all burnt, and he's like, I was part of the KKK the whole time.
I'm
But
Burt Luger,
instead-
and I'm also burning crosses.
Yeah.
But instead, in
I'm burnt
you get the
Luger.
2019 version, so they're doing a Lega sequel, and they do the thing with the kid, and now there's 2 children, 2 levels of children, and then
Yeah.
setting it there without grabbing the lightning while you have it over here.
Yeah.
Now it's even more homophobic somehow,
think
and
It's
like,
a perfect
just
example of letting the
too
light
lined
let
into
it through you.
contemporary.
I think if this
Yeah.
movie made $50 more million, we would have 9 Shaft movies.
The thing is that
Simpsons.
this is the kind of movie that it could have made $200 million more on a sequel if they gave it a shot, but like
Yeah.
we haven't really looked up why it didn't happen. So like we don't know why. There could have been some sort of circumstance, but it seems like the perfect example of the lightning slipping through the fingers, where it's like you had it right there, it was there,
Yeah.
and you let it go. Like you were like maybe in a couple years, and then maybe
There's
a couple
also
years through.
It's
some
giving
other
Batman
stuff.
Begins in a lot of ways.
Can't talk at the same time. You're not allowed.
It's giving Batman Begins in a lot of ways, in my
Oh,
opinion.
okay, great. What were you gonna say, Noel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Fair enough.
don't think I was saying anything. I was more like futzing.
Listen, let me tell you the end of this movie. Buster Rhymes' car got destroyed. He gets a new car back, and that's the end of the movie. That's
Oh yeah,
the
he
last
gets really
thing.
excited about it. He goes,
That's like the post credits, but it's in the movie.
and it's
What
He's
like
about-
doing plot in the movie.
Buster. What did you guys think about Buster Rhymes acting in this movie? I thought
Love
it was
it.
like pretty good for the most part,
It's
but then there's
fine.
moments where you're like, what the heck is he doing?
He's a cartoon.
He is a cartoon.
He's the
Reminds
driver
me of-
character.
He's like Bugs
reminds me
Bunny
of-
or Buster Bunny, I guess we could call him.
No.
Reminds me of when they let
Buster
Method Man and it reminds me of Method Man and Redman like helming a movie where or LL Cool J when they put rappers in movies and they do just a pretty good job, just an okay job.
I
But we're like,
guess. Yeah.
fuck yeah.
I think that LL Cool J is pretty good, and I also think that he wasn't helming this. He was like a weird double E sidekick.
Yeah.
He was like the 3rd sidekick in this movie.
He was on the 9th poster at the
Like,
theater.
I think that like when he's like when he's yelling in court and stuff and being like, step off son, you're
That
about
was
to
a
get
good
your ass twisted, and like that kind of stuff. I'm like, I like this energy that he's bringing, and like it also makes me feel like he was also in the courtroom through the entirety of all the proceedings. Like he's there as a supporting figure as well for some reason. Like maybe why is he there? I don't know. We don't really understand, but he is, and he gets
Shaft
upset
is
about it.
so mean to him when they have his place
Yeah.
blown up, and the thing that they say to him is that it's like a health hazard, and like they're just being so shitty to him, and they give him a car, but like he doesn't have a home now, so you're just gonna give him a car so that he do you know what he oh,
You feel
There's-
bad for him, you Rasan.
no, it's that he's playing a caricature of a particular type of character that comes up a lot in these 2000 movies.
Yeah.
That's a little
Rapper.
racially charged. It's like he's in a movie. I just
He's
don't
in-
like it. He's
I
he's
get it,
played as a fool. He's like the court jester in this movie, and like because they're all caricatures, it's okay. But I don't know. I didn't like how mean they were to him and how weird they gave him his scenes.
But I mean, he
Favorite
proves to
part.
be very valuable for the most part.
It wasn't the Buster
Yeah.
Rhymes of it all, though, but he was my least favorite part.
It was just like what's going on with his character.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go into the final thoughts and the Buster Rhymes of it all, I have a few fun facts to prattle off, and I do
Oh my
have.
God, are they gonna be fun this time?
They're going to be fun.
Are
Richard
they from
Roundtree.
IMDb?
I'm going to tell you where I got the information from, okay? Richard Roundtree, who played the original John Shaft in 1971 film, appears as Uncle John Shaft, linking the reboot to its roots. That's not super fun, but check out
Whoa,
this.
I can't believe that. We never knew that.
Check this out. Vin Diesel, according to IMDb, Vin Diesel was considered for the role of Walter Wade Jr., but declined, leading to Christian Bale's casting.
Interesting.
Here's an interesting fact.
That is an actual interesting fact, but I'm also like, what?
God
That would've
damn it!
been
I
such
wish
a weird movie.
I'm so glad. One of those things where you're watching a movie and you're like, what if this was anybody else? I think Christian Bale was perfect for exactly this role.
What about Walton Goggins? He's like,
Walton
I don't give a fuck
Goggins
about
should be
these
every
ducks.
actor. Fuck these ducks.
Yeah.
If you told me that Vin Diesel was considered for the role of Shaft, I would have felt more like, yeah, that makes sense than what you just said.
Then the super racist white guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, check this out. Samuel L.
It's not
Jackson
the
delivers. Samuel L. Jackson delivers the line, "This is some repugnant shit," a phrase he previously
Pulp
used in
Fiction.
Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown. Here's
I
a
wonder if
fun
that's just a
fact.
thing that he says. Like that's just
It's
one
just
of his things that he
like
says.
his other motherfucker.
I feel
Here's
like a lot
another
of people
thing.
say motherfucker, but I don't walk around saying this is some repugnant shit. Though I did say that today because of this movie.
I'm going to start saying that now.
Yeah.
Director John Singleton aimed to blend the classic blaxploitation elements with modern action, creating a film that honors the original while appealing to new audiences. That's from Wikipedia.
I think he did an admirable job, but not a perfect
Agreed.
job. Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Those are my fun facts. The last fun fact was just that they re-recorded the Shaft theme, but we already talked about
Noel talked about that for 15 minutes at the start.
for 45 minutes at the start. So that's the film Shaft. So why don't we talk about our Home Alone of it all, our final thoughts and our rating.
Okay.
If you had to pick one,
What do you think the Home
when
Alone of it
is
all?
the Home Alone of it all?
Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone of
I
it
really
all
gotta
When's the
know.
Home Alone of
When
it all?
is the Home Alone of it all?
What is the Home Alone of it all?
Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
So this is,
Just woke up.
of course, a Halloween movie, a Christmas movie, I meant to say, which is perfect for the theme we just listened to. The Home Alone of it all.
It
of
is
course,
so weird that every single episode of our show has a Christmas themed song. Every single episode.
It's our show based on the criteria that I have, outlined.
It's because every episode is a gift to everybody, all the listeners out there.
You're welcome, Santa. Listen,
What? Oh yeah, I guess Santa's our biggest fan. He comments on all of our videos.
he's the reason why we do this.
Imagine
And he's the reason
Santa
for
and
the
Shaft
season.
together. Like,
I
what
now
that-
have a
what that
finite
means.
amount
Shafta.
of time that I
Shafta? What the fuck? Shafta sounds like a weird, like a organization from James Bond. Shafta is drilling to the center of the earth. Oh, fuck.
The Home Alone of it all is the idea that in the movie Home Alone, the moment that we're all there to see is when Kevin McAllister slaps down the blueprint and decides that it's time to enact justice, Shaft-style justice, on the Harry and Marv, of course, and puts them through a gauntlet of torture, unlike anything anybody's ever seen before. That sort of relates to every other film in the history of film, in that you're there to see something in particular from the film. That's a good way to put it, I think, better than I've ever said before. So in this film, what's your Home Alone of it all, your final thought, and your rating? And Noel, I'm going to ask you first, because that's kind of the theme of this episode.
Yeah, the Home Alone of it all for me is James John Jingleheimer Shaft throwing his Ninja Star departmentally issued badge beside the judge's head, because that's like, oh, Shaft wasn't a policeman in the first one, like blah blah blah. Like now we're getting, okay, now we're in it. Now we're in Private Detective Shaft doing his own thing. He's the David S. Pumpkins. That's where we are.
Good callback.
I couldn't agree.
So that's my Home Alone of it all. Am I supposed to do the other two segments?
Yeah, that's I couldn't have made it more clear.
No, you couldn't have made it more clear. I'm just an idiot who's a little drunk. My final thoughts are: this is my second favorite out of the two Shaft movies that I've seen. This is my second favorite Shaft movie. No, I like this movie. I miss this kind of movie. Like that was the main thing I was thinking about throughout the whole thing is like I miss movies like this that we just had like a summer blockbuster that was uncomplicated while still having grounded ideas, shot well, like characters that you cared about, like a 100-minute movie that you could just watch, feel things, and then go on with your life without feeling miserable about anything when you walked out or just, and I think this is the kind of movie, not necessarily the content, but I mean, like this type of movie is what we need more of now. It's the thing I like every time I go to like the movies app and see what's on. It's a horror, it's a MCU movie, or it's like some Accountant 2 thing that like I just like it's just so freaking grim. And I'm like, where is the 100-minute movie that just is? And like all the movies that would be that just don't make any money, or like the post-pandemic world, like the Fall Guy or whatever, like that was that movie. And then no one went to see it because it's just not how movies work anymore. And I don't know whose fault it is, but like I lament not having this kind of movie. Like it really, really made me like wish for that. I was already kind of like thinking about that. So those are my final thoughts. I want movies like this. Well done. Great. Blah. No notes.
What about your rating?
My rating is 4 ninja police badges out of 5.
Thank you, Noel. You're the closest to the new milestone, the 15 times club. So we'll see. Steve, so tell us all about it.
I mean, I also that's my single favorite moment in the entire movie is when he throws the badge into the just everything about the music and then everything that comes after it, where it's like the crowd gasps, and then before the judge has even kind of like done a full, it cuts to them being like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, Shaft?" And he's like, nothing's wrong with me. It's wrong with the system." And then when he pulls out the card, the driver's license, and he lifts it up with 2 fingers, and then when they're like, when the Shaft music starts to play, that just kind of crescendos the entire moment. So I'm going to piggyback off of yours and say that is the best moment, but continuing that moment to when he's walking down the stairs and they're both walking at the same pace going down the stairs, and the Shaft theme is really creeping in, and you see Christian Bale's face go from a smile to like a sweaty, concerned look, and he knows that he might actually be fucked. That's my my Home Alone of it all right there. Final thoughts. I feel like I've made my feelings about this movie clear throughout this entire discussion. This movie was really important to me as a kid, and I don't think I truly will ever understand how important it was to me in terms of like exposing me to different types of movies, even though this is sort of like a soft introduction to other types of movies that I may not have sought out otherwise had I not watched this one. This led me into like the beautiful road of like really getting into Tarantino movies, which really led me into understanding who Pam Grier is and who Richard Roundtree is, and exploring other types of cinema that like I probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for this movie. And I can't say that for a certainty, but I can say that this helped me along in a direction that I wouldn't probably have explored until much later in life, because I was the one pushing these movies on people until I went into the real world and went into like post-secondary education and stuff. And that's when I was finally meeting other people who were like me, being like, "Oh, you ever seen that shit? Hey, have you seen this one?" kind of thing.
Yeah,
And like, you know, because like there was a time where I was in sort of like a movie prison for a while, where it was just the stuff that I was exposed to via my parents or their friends or people that, you know, liked movies, but only like the same ones that I did. And then this kind of thing would push you into a different direction and be more excited to learn and experience other types of movies that you may never have looked for yourself without the push you needed. So I really appreciate this movie, and it did kind of like start my love of Sam Jackson, which I think before this I was maybe aware of him, but not as aware. Like I knew him as, oh, that's that guy from the movies, and oh, he's in episode 1, he's Mace Windu, and then episode 2 comes out, I'm like, oh, he's got some more shit to do in this movie, and then episode 3, but like in my teen years, I was like, anything with Sam Jackson I need to watch because of Shaft, because I think he's like one of the best professional actors that lives today, you know. I have dreams sometimes where I'm like good friends with Sam Jackson, and we just like sit and talk, and I'm like, and then I wake up and I'm like, damn it, that was just a dream, god damn it, we were just talking. Love Sam Jackson, love this movie. My rating will have to be giving Sam Jackson's wig guy a day off and just letting that fucking head breathe. Let him breathe.
Well, thank you, Steve. That was insightful as always. I'm going to take a little bit of a different edge on this and say that at first I thought this movie didn't really have a Home Alone at all, because it just hits it right from the get-go. Like you just get into it and it's a Shaft movie. But I think that when it really everything comes together for me in that Home Alone way is when Peoples gets hit by the car and he gets up and his shirt's ripped and he's freaking out and he's witnessing everybody around him who he loves has perished. He starts to go on that war path, that revenge path, and becomes a literal supervillain. That's from then on, when it becomes basically like a Marvel movie,
right?
Or not even a Marvel movie, like a Marvel TV show, like there were elements of this. It's funny that you mentioned Luke Cage, because there were elements of this movie that really reminded me of the Netflix versions of the Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, well, Luke Cage is like it plays on the same sort of
absolutely
musical cues and just like, you know, sort of like the vibe and culture of everything. Like it is the same sort of tone. But
and I really love that you brought that up, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, because it's literally when he becomes a basically a supervillain. That's when the movie really like the payoff resonates with me. The whole movie resonates with me, but I really liked that ending. For final thoughts, this movie is great. The race and exploitation stuff aside, it's a fun action movie with a large portion of comedy sprinkled in. Sam Jackson is so damn likable.
Yeah.
There's so many random people in this.
I have dreams where he's my best friend.
There's so many random people in this before they got famous that it's interesting to see the cast. Like Elizabeth Banks is an insane realization that she's just there as an extra, basically. Like she's just part of that group at the beginning when Mekhi Phifer gets up from that table and she's just like right there. That's this whole movie in spades. Like there's just so many people in this film. The whole cast of a large portion of the cast of The Wire. There's people from Oz. There's a lot of HBO people. The score is great. It's very smooth and chill, but has an intensity that I appreciated. It felt almost too good for this movie. A lot of the action cinematography was really well done as well. It only fails in being culturally sensitive. But given its roots in the year it came out, it's kind of expected. I give this movie a 3.8 out of 5. I also give this movie not copping out when there's danger all about. I give this Shaft is a penis joke.
Oh man, my last line should have been close it yourself, shitty, which is the last line in the 71.
I mean, we have to imagine that John Singleton like fucking loved Shaft when he was a kid, right?
Did you see that interview with Walton Goggins where he?
Oh, he wasn't old at all when he died. He was only 51 when he died.
Oh, geez.
And that was in 2019. He's like younger, much younger than my dad, or was younger than my dad.
50 isn't even that old as a 40-year-old. Did you see that interview with Walton Goggins where he's talking about getting to meet kind of his heroes and asking them like, how do you become a good actor? And Anthony Hopkins is one of them. And basically he learns that like they read the script 250 times and really just like it gets ingrained into them. And it's easy to act if you know what you're saying. I think that John Singleton and Samuel L. Jackson just watched the first 5 Shaft movies 250 times each and really understood the character. That's my final thought and my final rating. But yeah, we did it. We got through Shaft. Steve, your month is going to be a series of great films that I'm really excited to talk about after a series of hits or misses, if we will.
Of unfortunate events.
Noel, thank you for coming on the show this week. I guess the last thing we have to do is plugs.
Oh, you want to plug, do ya?
All right, let me just plug this in right here and.
Hey, Noel, do you have anything that you would like to plug?
I would like to plug this show. I have my own playlist. I've been on 12 times, so clearly they like me, but they'll only keep liking me if you watch those videos and you give me little thumbsies and you comment. I don't care what it is. Tell me I'm an idiot. Tell me I got things wrong. Just comment. It's
I promise you
absolutely
that is the way.
I mean, this episode alone, you're like, I have PTSD from this specific thing. We're getting hit in the head with a basketball.
exactly. You can tell me, hey, that's insensitive for PTSD. Just put that in the comments. Someone else will come in and do it. Yeah, it's a pleasure being on this show. Thanks again, you guys. I would like to plug how cute this dog is.
Wow. I'm in awe.
Yeah.
Well
Thanks to you both for interrupting my constant stream of watching reruns of Murdoch Mysteries to watch something else. So that was actually pretty good for my mental health.
Right.
But Murdoch Mysteries is great. Plug that too. Longest running
Murdoch-
Canadian 1-hour drama. You gotta watch it, man. Murdoch Mysteries is the only good thing we have left in this world. Like, give the CBC some eyeballs. Download Gem. You can watch it for free. So,
Well,
His name was Michael Murdoch.
Steve, what do you have cooking on your stove?
I've got so much cooking over here. I need somebody else to take some of this responsibility away from me.
I'm still doing the voice of Darth Theorist and the Three-Eyed Theorist. We're almost at 40,000 subscribers for Darth Theorist, and we're getting close to. We might have passed 20 for the Three-Eyed Theorist, actually. But my voice has been heard millions and millions of times at this point, and I'm very appreciative to everybody who listens. I really am. Anytime you listen and you put a comment, I try to respond if it's coherent and not just a suggestion. If it's a suggestion, we look, but we don't necessarily want to take all of them. But we will take it if it's cool and we haven't heard it 1,000 times before.
I have a suggestion. You're a dick. That's my suggestion.
So I do have a new thing. I was finally given permission to talk about this. Can we play it, Jason? Do you think?
We'll play what? I don't know. Is there a trailer for it?
There is a trailer. It's audio only, which I guess we're on an audio medium, so that is good, right?
Yeah, it works.
All right, let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. It's here somewhere. I swear to God, it's here.
Yeah, for anyone listening on the audio, there's like a really cute dog. So just check out the YouTube and look at the really damn cute dog and a
Yeah,
picture
it's this
of
cute
Slim
dog right here.
Rodriguez.
So this is a project that I am going to be a part of. I'm not a huge part of it, but I am going to be in it, which is kind of cool. I'm going to copy and paste this to you, Jason, if that's okay, because I think your audio is going to be better than mine if you play it.
Don't send it to me. I wouldn't know what to do with it.
But it's an audio adventure starring Rhea Seehorn, Bobby Moynihan, Steve Little, Tim Sharp, John Hamm, John Waters, and more comedic performers. And I'm going to be playing a bunch of creatures and monsters and sort of like the things that the adventurers interact with throughout the story. Which is cool. And this is, sort of an accidental in my lap sort of thing. But it's fun and interesting. And I also am going to be, I think, narrating the trailer, which is kind of cool. Can we play it?
Our network presents a new comedic audio series by Mike Sachs and S.G. Wilson, featuring Bobby Moynihan, Ray Seehorn, Steve Little, John Hamm, John Waters, and more.
From WSUS Raleigh, I'm Milo Goddard, and do I have a story for you? In the fall of 2022, a podcaster by the name of Melanie Hughes went missing. A few weeks later, by the side of a road in Poolesville, Maryland, a digital recorder belonging to Melanie was found. Just sitting there. No note, no explanation. And when someone pressed play, the story that unfolded was like nothing anybody had ever heard.
It's a portal. The wardrobe is a portal? This really isn't a trick, like a magic trick.
Well, there's plenty of magic here, okay? But, I mean, not the kind you're thinking of. Some of these changes, wow, not sitting good with me. Everything's a little too modern. Oh, that being said, those Bojangles nugs do smell real nice.
So let me understand, Zingia was a simpler place, but in the past 12 years, it's become Myrtle Beach?
It is the usurper's doing. Since he seized the throne, he has forced these changes on us all.
I can't believe it. King Asshole. Usurped.
Who's King Asshole?
I am Azran, king of Zingia, hence retired. Now I rule nothing. I forgot to introduce you to my other guest.
Bobby? Look, I'm bringing this dump into modern times, and you morons are going to help me.
We're stuck here as his servants unless we find some other way out. He wants to marry me for me to become his queen.
I suggest you head to the dreaded dungeons of Chiorotha. There he shall be, and perhaps he can also help you in your quest to find a portal home.
He's called the Dark One for a reason. Dread spreads across the land upon his growing shadow, or something. Oh, maybe he's not so bad.
Hello, guests. Greetings. Please enter my penthouse abode. Come in. Come in. This is Winky, by the way, one of those water creatures, you know. Met him when we were both locked up. Now he's lucky enough to work for me for free.
May I install a giant whirlpool bath in which to frolic with paid sexual sea creatures?
I want to go home. Get me home. Open the portal. Get us both home. Me and Melanie. I'm done.
You're not going anywhere.
You're not going to want to miss Stanland, available this summer on the Sonar Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe now. And if you do have any information regarding the whereabouts of Melanie Hughes, feel free to contact us here at the station. I'm Milo Goddard from WSUS Raleigh, signing off.
Well, I
Well,
was
that sounds
I was only at
incredible.
the very beginning of that, but it's kind of cool. that I
Weren't you
was
the
in it.
water creature in the middle before like the sexual sea creatures thing?
No, that wasn't me, but it did kind of sound like me. But it
It kinda
wasn't me.
sound like you.
Yeah, I do a couple of elves, I do a couple of orcs, and I'll do anything else for a couple of bucks if you know what I'm talking about. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's fun. I've been doing voices here and there. It seems like as they're going through, they're like, we need to replace this and this, so they kind of keep tossing it my way, and I've been having fun with it. So I'm excited to hear it when it's finally ready.
Yep, it comes out this summer, right?
Yeah. So anyway, that's the secret project that I've been working on forever that I keep being like, maybe soon I'll be able to tell
It's
you about it.
it's Rhea Seahorn heavy. I noticed. I think that she might be one of the main characters, and she's
I
she's
think
a
it's
great
Bobby
actor.
Moynihan and her are like the two main adventurers going through. But
I love
Sand and
Drunk
Land.
Uncle. What?
Yeah.
I did notice like the one that I'm like, because as I was reading through the titles, they never when I was reading the names, John Waters was not on the list, but like as I went through the website, I was like, John Waters in this. I got like really excited. I'm like, oh my god.
More so than John Hamm. I couldn't even make. I think I heard him in there.
He's
a little
the
bit,
king,
but-
I think, at the end, the one who's like,
Yeah.
well, it's me, king of the dildo people or whatever.
John Waters, Stephen Waters. You know,
Wow,
all
the brothers
names.
from another
My
mother.
grandpa's name was John Waters, but not the same one.
Well, we look forward to that. You can find this show right here on wherever you're watching it. Quite frankly, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram.
I've noticed you changing your actual vocabulary to Trump at this point. You're like, quite frankly, like why
I think quite frankly is a good transitional phrase. So
okay. Quite
It is
frankly,
frank.
I think it's terrifying.
Okay, well,
you're easing into that so easily.
I know that's what all of America did for the last 12 years. Listen, you can find this show each and every week here on Twitch and YouTube primarily. You can find us on the next day on demand on the same platforms. The audio version of the show goes up over the weekend. The on-demand version goes up over the weekend of this show. But every week we are here at 8 p.m. Eastern on the places you get your podcasts, and we go live. We are a live podcast every week, which I think is very important to note because this is all off the cuff. You can also get shirts that are drawn by the illustrious Steve Waters, the co-host of this podcast. You can get the Grimoire Familiar Killers poster, which I think is going to have to change in 2026.
Oh, it's gonna
if they
be,
make a
eventually
new
it's
one.
gonna have so many other killers on it.
Exactly. Kill Aid is one you can get from our, of course, Friday the 13th series. We got Twinkerbell. Twinkerbell is a fan favorite, and Zardos himself, which you can get our shirt. I think it's a running joke at this point that I haven't released this, but I'm kind of saving it for somebody to buy one t-shirt. If you buy one t-shirt, we will release Corporal Tunnel Syndrome, and you can get Howie Mandela Effect as well. Those are all the shirts that Steve says has drawn thus far, but we have a lot in the tank. We have a lot coming down the pipe in the future as soon as he draws them. But
I need the list. I need the list.
Exactly. I'd like to thank our guest Noel this week for the 12th time. You're the by far and away a pillar of this show. You're a turnstone. You're a great guest. You're a great guest that I love to talk to you about film with, and I love both of you. Steve, thank you every week. You are my turncoat. You're my thank you. And there's one last thing that we have to do on this show each and every week. And here's the thing. Noel, I think that you've been on this show enough times now that you know what to do here. I'm going to leave the floor to you to do it.
Hey, did you see this one?
Wow.
Wow.
What a great
Wow. Grunge one.
I do feel like we
Yeah, dude.
we were a little too
We're a little too,
milky for this discussion.
Milky.
Milky?
Yeah, it was very milky, I think.
What does that mean?
White.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we have a lot of cum in our blood.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.
A ver, hijo de la chingada, deja de estar viendo memes, pendejo.
A la verga, me vale verga, perro. Y cálate a la verga, hija de su puta madre a la verga.